tarnation.
Well, there's going to be plenty of Texas Rangers on this here episode of the High and Low podcast.
I think we should probably retire the cowboy accents for a little while. We only did them like 3 episodes in a row.
I don't know if I like cowboys.
Yeah, why don't we talk like Switchblade sisters?
I like that. Should I do a little introduction?
Yeah, do a little introduction.
Why don't you tell them what the podcast is about?
Well, welcome back, friends.
Go again, Mitch.
Well, listeners, if you're listening to this podcast, we're going to knife you. We're going to get you with a chain.
Happy Hanukkah, everyone. It's the High and Low Movie Show.
Recap.
2024 recap.
Happy Kwanzaa, brothers.
A full year.
Hey, fellow African-American brothers and sisters.
Feliz
Happy
Navidad, my man.
Tight, homie.
1 full year of the High and Low podcast. 5,906,000 minutes. That's how we measure a year on the High and Low podcast. That's right, folks. It's been 1 year. 1 year of laughter and tears, of watching movies that were good and watching other movies that were bad. But that's not what we're doing on this episode of the High and Low podcast, because this is a very special episode where we're doing a little recap of our 2024 movie adventures, the entire movie season.
Yeah, it's a really special episode.
We're going to get serious.
And if you don't like it, we're going to throw sand in your eyes. See?
We're going to talk about movies we watched this year. Mm-hmm. You know what to do.
Yeah. Click.
Big deal.
You think we need you? You bunch of lowlifes.
Please listen to us. We're desperate for attention.
Man, wouldn't you know it? While the rest of the world was busy taking their best gals to the sock hop for a little hand jive, the High and Low crew were hard at work, cloistered in the High and Low dungeon, watching movies. We watched all kind of movies this year. Good uns, bad uns, thems that makes you scratch your head and say, now what in tarnation did I just watch?
What in tarnation?
We're going to go through them all on this very special episode. I'm Mitchell, joined as always by my co-host Luke.
Hi.
And Vonn.
Happy to be here. We're going to talk about every single movie each one of us watched this year.
Yeah.
One by one, in full episode length.
Yeah, including ones we already did episodes on. So I think you're all in for a real treat.
Exactly.
I know you all love it when we go beat by beat down every scene and plot point in a movie.
Yeah.
We're going to do that I'm going to do it for over 250 movies.
I know
That's how many I watched this year.
You especially enjoy it when we make it past a certain plot point, and then 10 or 15 minutes later, go back to revisit it.
I consider this episode to be kind of our lump of coal, our holiday lump of coal that we can put in our listeners' stockings, really ruin their holidays.
Well, yeah, and I know that some of you have reached out to us in the past and appreciated suggestions and kind of wanted to know what we were watching, so we thought this would be a fun way to share that with you. Or you can look at our letterbox. How many did you say you watched this year, Luke?
Over 250.
Nice.
I'm just trying to get my stats up.
Yeah.
I'm at 226. I think I might have forgot to record some. I'm like 70 reviews behind, but
70.
Good God.
But I log everything that I watch. I just give it a quick star rating and put it in my diary. And the idea is that maybe I'll come back to them and write reviews sometime.
Dear diary, today I saw Horizon.
Dear diary.
Dear diary, it's me, Winona. I watched Heathers this year.
I watched Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Diary Inception, writing a diary entry about watching a movie about about a diary.
Dear diary, here's my diary entry for Bridget Jones's Diary. 2, Beyond the Edge of Reason.
Yeah.
I watched 4 Winona Ryder movies this year.
I watched...
Night on Earth was another one. Jim Jarmusch, very good.
Oh, yeah.
Age of Innocence, that was a Martin Scorsese blind spot I hadn't seen. I fucking loved it.
Oh.
And, of course, Beetlejuice, which was surprisingly not a total piece of shit.
Oh, I never saw that one.
So I'm still circling around to a bunch of new releases. I'm going to get down with that.
Ye guts to get into the piracy game.
Yeah.
Yarg, I can't swim.
We pay the iron price for movies.
Shark took both me legs.
Yeah. I'm about to turn up the boil on my 2024 movies as we're going into the award seasons. And
Crank it up, man.
You know? Yeah, that's how it worked the last year too. I watched every award-nominated movie for the big awards anyway, in the lead up.
Yeah, a lot of them are bad this year by the looks of it.
I like going through the docs and the short stories, the short movies. Those are always fun to visit.
Yeah, there's some little fun little sidewinders in there that you might not come across otherwise.
I have one of last year's nominees for one of my favorite foreign films. We'll get to it. So that's our preamble.
We're going to take a quick break before our next segment. And when we come back, we're releasing Mitchell's tax returns.
Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum.
Do a Bud Dwyer.
We're live.
We're live!
Mitchell, I can't believe you've been paying too much in taxes.
What are they going to do?
You are in overdraft and in debt because you're paying extra taxes to the government. I don't get why. You have this facade of being an unhinged psychopath, but you're the most patriotic citizen. You just pay for extra roads and things you never use.
That's right, yeah.
And all that time you were spending at the elementary schools, you were actually volunteering and helping.
Exactly. I like the Scholastics Book Fair.
Yeah, you're reading to kids. I thought you were doing something nefarious.
Next up on the podcast, we're talking about canonical classics. That's right.
It's a little section we like to call Canonical Classics.
Our first category on the High and Low podcast tonight, we're talking about the classics. You know, the must-see films.
I'll make him an offer he can't refuse.
Those titans. Those,
Here's looking at you, kid.
yeah.
How do you like them apples?
Go home and get your fucking shine bucks.
All the grades. I'm a bicycle thief.
It's not a tumor.
Vonn was late to the recording today because he was shining up his toilets.
Yeah.
Call them toilet shine Vonnie. You have your toilets looking like fucking mirrors.
Having company over. Got to make sure they got something to eat out of. I'm a bad host.
Yeah, 'tis the season. That would be a fun novelty dish in a restaurant, wouldn't it? Have you guys seen that subreddit, We Want Plates? Where it's all
Eating
like,
passed out of a toilet bowl?
Yeah, exactly. You hit the flusher.
But if we did, though, you would save on dishes. That's a thought I've never had.
I don't know. I break a lot of dishes, so I would probably break a lot of toilets. So I watched a few canonical classics this year. I picked 3 that I kind of want to give a rundown, and these are 3 that I really enjoyed, and I'll tell you why. Playtime by Jacques Tati. Have you guys seen this one?
La-di-da.
Yeah,
No,
I have seen that one. It's great. Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's a French film. It's mostly silent, and it's just all about the absurdity of modern life and how everything is just kind of like this big fuck around thing that doesn't make sense. It's trying to contain chaos within a confined, orderly space, and people are just too fucked up to let that happen.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Jacques Tati plays this character. He was sort of like a chaplain for France. He played this Mr. Hugo character or whatever in a number of
Hugo,
movies.
yeah.
I thought I was the chaplain of France.
He would get into all kinds of fiascos and go bumbling around. And this movie in particular is very impressive because they built this giant, massive set that's like a city block with office buildings and apartment
A
buildings.
traffic circle.
And like a functioning traffic circle, and just had all these crazy choreographed comedy scenes on it, and it's all color coordinated and stuff, and it's just one of those Technicolor mind blows from back in the day. You know?
It's beautiful to look at because everything is just so meticulously choreographed, and it's super watchable. Check it out. It's on Criterion. Hilarious. Mm-hmm. You can draw a straight line from him to Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
He's on that trajectory from like the Buster Keaton.
Those comedy characters, like those kind of broad, the Tramp, Mr. Hugo.
My name is Borat.
Borat.
Monsieur Hulot.
Mr. Hulot. Well.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Pardonnez-moi mon français.
Trey Droll.
Wait. Another one is An Autumn Afternoon. Yasujiro Ozu movie. Loved it. Super pleasant to watch. Not much to say on it. Check it out. Ozu is really great.
That's one of his funnier ones, right?
I think
That is
one's
one of his later ones. So
Yeah.
it is in color.
it's a spiritual sequel to Late Spring where it explores a lot of the same themes, but he's a little bit older. And so the idea is there's a father and a daughter, and the daughter's looking after the father, and they have a really strong relationship, and he wants her to go away and get married. And it's a very bittersweet story because, it's the best thing for her, but they're both losing a very important part of their life.
Yes.
He explores it in the way only Ozu can. Just very beautiful, very tender, thoughtful.
For those who don't know, Ozu is kind of one of the founding fathers of Japanese cinema. He was making movies in the Imperial Japan days into the occupied Japan days and beyond, and he's sort of a major influence on pretty much every Japanese filmmaker who came afterward, and he sort of helped establish the film language of Japan, you could say.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. I'll say with no pretension at all. I just love sitting in with his movies, and I'll be talking about one of them briefly after, too.
Yeah. Last one for me is Taste of Cherry. This is an Iranian movie from 1997.
Yeah, I watched that, too.
Yeah, a really, really cool story. It's about this guy who's just driving around Tehran, and he's looking for somebody to help him kill himself. And he's having a really hard time doing it.
Someone to give him a burial, I think, more was like it, right? He's like, I'll kill myself.
Yeah.
I just want you to
I got
push
that
this
part
dirt
covered.
over my corpse.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, come back in the morning if I'm dead, push, just bury me if I'm not there. Cool. And it's just him having various conversations with different people and just seeing their reactions and just kind of living with a guy who's dead set to kill himself by the end of the day and just kind of spending a day with him. It's a beautiful movie.
Relatable. Yeah, but it's interesting the different people he encounters and how they react to him.
Yeah,
and the conversations they have to him. The first couple, I think, are younger men.
Yeah,
and they don't get it at all. They don't understand what life could be like through this man's eyes, and we don't ever really understand. The movie doesn't really tell us what his reason is for wanting to kill himself.
He's just had enough, and he's just doesn't want to live anymore, and that's all you really know about him. And you don't get much of his interiority. You just explore him as a reflection of these other people he comes across.
Yeah.
They go from younger to older, and also they're different archetypes. There's like a man of the cloth, there's a working man, there's a military man, all these different facets of our society come and interact with him on his potential last day on Earth. Really cool movie. How about you, Luke? Did you watch any canonical classics this year?
I watched a few. Couple of my favorite ones that I watched a lot of fucking classic movies this year. One was Soy Cuba, or I Am Cuba.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess was kind of buried for decades and was released and restored maybe in the last 10, 20 years or so.
Oh, okay.
So, it's a movie that's still kind of making the rounds and finding its place in the film canon.
Where did you find it?
Well, it's on Criterion, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. The movie's from 1964, so that really places it in a specific time and place in Cuba's history and in the history of the Western world and where communism was at that time. But besides all of that, as it being a fascinating time capsule of a very unique culture, it's just a stunning fucking piece of work. Like, the camera work in it is like nothing you've seen. There's no special effects in this movie, but we have long tracking shots that would make Martin Scorsese blush. Like, stuff going in and out of pools, in and through nightclubs, up and down buildings, like into people's faces, and you get so much of a view of life in Cuba. The movie is broken up into, I think, 4 different stories, and they highlight the ups and downs of what modern Cuban life is like. But essentially, it is a Soviet co-production too, right?
Oh, interesting.
So it is a propaganda film for the communist movement in Cuba, but the stories are stories of their struggle and what the strength of the human spirit can overcome. It is fucking phenomenal. Every single piece in it moved me. Every single piece in it had me jaw on the floor, just wowed by the technical mastery of it.
That's one I've seen that one referenced in YouTube videos, specifically referencing just this amazing, insane tracking shot that just goes through the streets of Cuba. So I've never seen the movie, but I've seen that one particular tracking shot from it. It boggles the mind. The 1960s, you can do a shot like that without the use of CGI or anything like that.
I also was watching quite a few Japanese movies. I mean, I watched a lot of movies from a lot of countries, but some of my favorite ones I watched this year were classics, and they were from Japan. I watched a lot of Kurosawa movies, filled in some blind spots there. One of the last ones I watched, besides his great in-color later work, which is fucking amazing. Kagemusha, Dreams, Ran. Some of the most stunning movies you'll ever see. They'll stay with you forever. Dreams, especially, I think was his final movie. It's not a samurai movie. It's more like paintings, more just ideas directly from his mind. They're pulled from Kurosawa's own dreams. And there's a little bit of Japanese folklore in there. And they're beautiful stories.
Dreams was supposed to be like the representation of a dream kind of thing, right? Which obviously would be pretty weird.
It sounds like shit, and it sounds like it'd be weird, but in the hands of Kurosawa, who doesn't really make weird films.
No.
This is a master of making films that are actually really legible to anybody.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away when I watched Ran. That was the first color Kurosawa I saw. And before that, I had only seen the black and white stuff. And I was a little trepidatious. I was like, well, what if he just doesn't know how to work with color film? Or what if he... But no, that was like a foolish thing
What
to
if he
be
doesn't
worried about.
understand how colors work?
Yeah.
Turns out he made the most colorful movie ever made.
Yeah.
Ran.
Did you guys ever see that movie Water?
No.
It's a Canadian movie from about 20 years ago. That has a
Don't
really
think
cool
so.
use of color, too. I'll throw out a random recommend for that. It's part of a trilogy.
Yeah.
Earth, Fire, Water, I think it is.
This is going to be a watch list adding episode.
Check that one out.
I've already got like 3 things to add to my watch list that I got to watch.
But the Kurosawa movie that made the biggest impact on me was none of those ones even. But Redbeard, which was one that it's, I think, 3.5 hours plus long. It's a drama about a young doctor who goes to a village to learn the ways of being a physician from an older doctor who's played by Toshiro Mifune. I think this was maybe the last of their collaborations or one of their last collaborations together, Mifune and Kurosawa. But this movie, did it ever take me by surprise? It is a period piece, but it is definitely one of the more humanistic Kurosawa movies. It's not an action movie. It's about reckoning with empathy, reckoning with death, how even just as men we can be comforts to each other in our times of greatest need.
We love to be comforting to each other.
If Jordan Peterson had ever seen it, it would absolutely be his favorite movie, but...
I love it when men comfort each other.
A fucking amazing movie. I think it's Mifune's best performance. I bawled my eyes out like 6 fucking times watching it. It immediately became one of my favorite movies ever.
Interesting.
And yeah, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what it was going in. I thought maybe he was like a pirate with a red beard or something in it.
It sounds like a fairy tale name, like Old Redbeard.
I know, but
Old
it's
Japanese pirate movie. Cool.
And yeah, my other biggest movie of the year for me that I love the most was Green Tea Over Rice. The flavor of green tea over rice. Also, Yasujiro Ozu. Hate to bore people with this, but it's another one of his fucking family dramas. This one's more about a marriage that's falling apart.
That guy loves his family dramas.
Yeah. And this one in particular struck me. I watched it at a time when my marriage was falling apart. I'll just go ahead and spoil it. If you don't want me to spoil it, skip ahead 10 seconds. But the central metaphor is marriage is like the flavor of green tea over rice. It's pleasant enough. You can bear through it, but like
It's very subtle.
There's not much there.
Yeah, a very faint flavor.
Like, you're not going to always gain major pleasure from it every day, but you can sustain yourself on it for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. Is kind of the idea behind it.
Rice, a classic side dish.
Green
Much
tea,
like
a classic
marriage.
side drink.
Yeah, if you can just get by with those, like, mundane things and appreciate them for what they are, and maybe you get by. Yeah. Anyway, this movie bowled me over, and after watching, I don't know how many of fucking Ozu's movies, 20 plus I've seen a lot of his silent movies and everything, pre-war movies. This one just kind of hit me right at the right time in the right spot.
It's
really
a
good.
later one, right? Like,
I think it's from the 50s.
oh, okay. It's not like an 80s movie
50s
or
or
something.
60s. No, that's not a late one. It's golden period Ozu.
Nice.
Yeah, he's another guy that every time I watch one of his movies, it's just one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
Yeah, I got to explore his stuff more. I've only watched a couple of them.
Truly pleasant way to spend 2 hours every time. Listeners, the easiest starting points for Ozu are probably Tokyo Story. That would probably be his best known one. And Late Spring, I would say, are the best entry points. Autumn Afternoon isn't a bad start either.
Hell yeah. Well, what else have you seen this year, Mitchell?
This year was a major year.
I thought so.
I plugged some
Banner year in the McIsaac house.
some very important gaps this year. Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing. That's just a movie you always hear mentioned as like one of the greatest movies of all time.
What time of year did you watch it?
I thought you knew this movie by heart, or at least the part where they name
No.
all the racist slurs.
No, this movie made
You're
me.
always quoting it to me.
That video is always playing on YouTube when we come in here.
I rethink some things after I watched this movie, and now I'm not.
You're
in
a changed man.
I'm not in the Ku Klux Klan anymore.
Oh, what time of year did you...
was a hero the most, but he never meant shit to me. Cause he's straight out racist, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's simple and plain.
Oh yeah,
Motherfuck him and John Wayne. I was
Great-
waiting for you to cover me on that. You got to be my Flavor Flav.
great opening credit sequence in that movie with Rosie Perez dancing over Public Enemy.
She's a fly dancer.
Not bad.
That's a great movie to watch in the middle of summer. You know, when we get our heat
Yeah.
waves here, it's a classic heat wave
Oh,
movie
yeah.
where you just
Summer
kind of
movie.
feel it. Yeah.
That's like a subgenre, right? The heat wave movie. It's the hottest summer in known period. And
Yeah.
everything's boiling over.
Falling
known
down,
period.
Die Hard with a
known
Vengeance.
period. Yeah. The Dark Knight Returns.
The rest.
That Frank Miller comic.
Nobody else has one.
That's the backdrop of that story. It's the hottest summer in Gotham.
3 Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain.
Yeah. Hot sweats, hot summer nights.
Filled in a couple Hitchcocks this year. Watched Rear Window twice this year. Watched it just on my own accord, and then of
Humble brag.
course we did a podcast episode on it. That's like a Hitchcock. You got to consider him a classic kind of guy.
Classic director.
I'm a classic.
Oh, which other films did you watch?
A couple Chaplins. My first couple Chaplins, The Gold Rush and The Great Dictator. The Great Dictator had one of the funniest bits. It made me laugh out loud that I've seen this year. He's flying in an airplane at one point, and he's like checking his watch, and he doesn't realize the airplane's upside down, and he's trying to grab his watch, and it's all kinds of funny stuff like that. It's great.
Can I be real for a minute? I've never seen a Charlie Chaplin movie.
They're
real.
worth checking out. That was part of the Criterion challenge I'm doing this year for the Letterboxd, and so it's kind of
Don't feel embarrassed, Vonn, but also don't feel like they're homework. I promise you'll have a
No,
great
they're
time
actually really
watching
fun.
them. There's a reason they're so popular.
that was actually one thing I wanted to say about the canonical classics is that I think these are the kind of movies that maybe people might be a little reticent to check out because they've got lofty reputations and things, but when you actually do end up checking them out, you realize that there's a reason that they're the canonical classics. They're great fun.
They're super approachable. They're mostly super
I
approachable.
mean, Chaplin, for instance, those are crowd-pleasing movies.
Yeah, those are great
blockbuster movies. They have like romance, humor, action, like they fucking cover all the bases.
There are some weird ones out there that are kind of homeworky. Like I have a
Yeah.
hard time with Tarkovsky,
For
Jean
me,
Dillman, like these really long.
Yeah, that
slow
Iranian
cinema.
movie, The Taste of Cherry, that might not be for a casual movie-going
no,
audience.
no.
But
I would say that I find like a Bergman a bit more challenging because some of his
Yeah.
stuff is a little more avant-garde.
Yeah, I had
and
Persona
stuff like
as one that I watched this year, and I just didn't even want to. I'm like,
Yeah.
it was fine. Bergman's not one of my guys, but I'm going to check out more of his stuff.
I found Persona interesting, but it was a little too weird, and I didn't really want to spend too much
I don't
time
want to think
dissecting
too much.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've bounced off Bergman too, and I know we're all going to listen back to this in a couple of years and be like, "What idiots
What were we
were!"
thinking? Yeah.
Fucking Bergman's the best. We're so
Yeah,
stupid.
because I know he does do other movies too that aren't quite as avant-garde and weird. I've got one in the Criterion Challenge from him this year called Scenes from a Marriage, which I think is just a little bit more relationship drama
Right.
based, and so
There's one that John Waters recommended on his Adventures in Movie Going feature on Criterion Channel.
oh okay.
It's about a girl getting an abortion. He's like, I just thought that was fucking crazy. This girl's getting an abortion. Can you? I fucking love it. Bergman's fucking amazing.
There's a movie I can't remember what it's called, but
man, we need to get him on the pod.
I was watching
I'd
a
love to
John
be on your
Waters
show.
video where he was giving a tour of his apartment earlier this year, and one of the posters he has hanging up is like from this movie that just has like a live childbirth spliced into it, because that was one of the few ways you could sneak nudity into a movie then, was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, if it's childbirth, then that's okay. It's like there's scientific basis for showing this. So.
They only have scientific news.
First, we gotta see how they make the babies.
yeah.
you
Now,
can
this
show
is
the breasts, but you need to
consequence.
have Bunsen burners going in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the oxygen destroyer weapon from Godzilla.
Okay, you can do your top up now. Oh yeah, right on. Anything else you want to mention, or?
Oh yeah, I did watch a lot of Italian movies this year. I've always watched a lot of Italian movies, but usually on the giallo kind of sleazy side. But this year I actually watched some of like the Italian neorealists, like Roberto Rossellini and Vittorio De Sica, who did Bicycle Thieves. And guys like Fellini, just like Titans,
Yeah.
like those type of guys. Like one thing on Criterion is that they have some really cool genre films too. And one thing I watched this year was some blaxploitation movies, like some of the foundational blaxploitation movies, like Sweetback's Badass Song, which some people consider the first or one of the first blaxploitation.
It's part of my culture, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I lost my Steven Seagal voice, but that's who I'm trying to do.
It'll come back to you. I was actually a grip on that set.
Leave my dog alone, you bastard.
I'm black too, homie.
I choreographed that movie. Because I
Excuse
grew
me.
up on those streets.
I just gotta. Can you pull over so I can get my tank around you?
Excuse me, could you just step off to the other side of the sidewalk so I can get by?
He just rolls down the sidewalk. He just rolls through the door. He's the battering ram for the SWAT team.
I'm wearing my flowy kimono today. It takes up a lot of space on the sidewalk.
He's so fun.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
There's no end to the Steven
Sweetbacks.
Seagal stories.
Did
You were
somebody say
watching
derailed?
blaxploitation
Yeah.
like me, homie?
You know, Under Siege 2 takes place on a train.
I mean, Sweetbacks is okay, but like one of my favorite watches this year was Across 110th Street, which I don't really think is considered a canonical classic, but you guys would probably recognize the song from it. It's like the main opening
Bobby
theme.
Womack.
Yeah, it opens Jackie Brown's Across 110th Street. And yeah, it's
I put
really
it on
good.
every time I drive across 110th Street in my city. I need to frantically flip through my phone and find that song so I can listen to it.
And it's a very good movie. And that's one great thing about blaxploitation in general, is that it tends to have these really awesome soundtracks with like Bobby Womack or whoever, Isaac Hayes, doing like really cool songs.
Hell yeah.
So,
Oh, I love Isaac Hayes and Womack.
and then,
I listen to that stuff on the regular. I got to check out more blaxploitation movies.
yeah,
There's
those
a
were
handful
fun.
I've seen. I love.
Those were only a couple I watched this year, but.
Right on.
And then one last thing was a Disney movie, Fantasia. I watched that.
You sound so angry about it.
One more thing, one more thing,
motherfuckers.
gentlemen. I'm like Columbo up in here. Oh my God, one more thing.
Hey, just one more thing.
For the first time in years since I was a child,
Fantasia.
I watched
That's the name of the
Fantasia.
movie.
And Fantasia didn't really do it for me when I was a young child. I think it was a little too like fantastical and not enough plot. Maybe
I hope that it would
This
be
is
fantastic.
too fantastical.
I don't like this
It's too much
classical
whimsy
music.
and imagination.
Yeah, I was like, can we get something a little more buttoned down? I wanted to.
But you like that?
yeah, I was blown away by it watching it this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. I think it's great too. I almost like it less because I watched it so much as a child and
don't
I
think
loved it. I got lost in all the worlds. Every single one of those sequences occupies a
Yeah.
particular space in my mind. I don't know. It's so under my skin. It's so a part of me.
I think what it might have been when I was a child was that there was actually a couple sequences that frightened me, and I didn't enjoy watching
you're
them
a
as a
little
result.
bitch.
Maybe I was a little bitch. Maybe that's what it was.
The dancing flowers and mushrooms and
Yeah,
shit.
that made me cry. I liked those demon things flying around, but those dancing mushrooms, I didn't care for that. That's not allowed.
When we watched that as kids and we watched that VHS a billion times, like my favorite
Yeah.
part was the Beethoven's Fifth Pastoral with the Greek gods.
Oh yeah, that's a good part. Yeah.
But the Night at Bald Mountain, my mom, if she was around, she would turn it off because it was too scary.
yeah,
She
that's
thought
so
it's the
dramatic.
demons, and she's like, oh, I don't like those devils.
I've never seen it, but I've seen bits and pieces of it because it's permeated the culture quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely worthwhile. Yeah, obviously Mickey with the broom, the magician's apprentice or
It's an
whatever.
ambitious piece of work.
Yeah, it's very cool.
This has been Canonical Classics.
Classics.
Wow, that was Canonical Classic.
We're going to take a quick break. The fans asked for it, and so we're going to deliver. When we come back, we're going to do our best Jerry Lewis impressions as loud as we can, louder than each other.
Yeah, from the most beloved episode of the year.
Well, if you want to talk about some weird movies,
Yeah, we
go
should.
ahead, bitch.
You know, there's a lot of weird movies out there in the cinema landscape. These are movies that make you scratch your head and say, what did I just watch? We watched a number of those this year.
What did I just watch?
Just what the heck am I watching
What the heck
just right
was
now?
that, man?
Man.
What is this, man?
Well, I'll tell you, fellas. I watched a weird
Give us one.
There's a weird one this year. It's a Taiwanese-Hong Kong co-production. It's called Calamity of Snakes, and it's a particularly strange one because the plot is that this like army of snakes, and you anger this snake god, and this army of snakes invade your coastal village.
Snakes!
There's snakes everywhere. They're coming. They're like spaghetti.
You're participating in Whacking Day too, Barney? Whacking Day?
Yeah. They're nasty, but this movie, they just kill hundreds of snakes in this movie. Like, this is not a movie that passes the, that PETA label
So
of...
they use live snakes primarily, or a lot of live snakes?
They light live snakes on fire.
Oh my God.
They run snakes over in tractors in this. I watched this movie with my jaw dropping, just hitting the floor the entire time because they just kill hundreds and hundreds of live snakes in this movie.
Well,
And so,
you know, in like Australia, the Simpsons made a joke about frogs taking over, but it's a serious thing where there'll be like car accidents because there's so many
Yeah.
frogs on the road and people just lose control of their
Those
cars. 'cause they're
cane
driving.
toads.
Yeah, cane toads. Yeah, there's that great documentary about it.
they're out of control.
Where they have to go kill them. There's people driving trucks over them intentionally. People have all kinds of creative means of destroying those toads.
Maybe they saw this.
Yeah, they're like,
Calamity
we
of
trap them
snakes.
in this
Yeah.
balloon, and then we fill the balloon full of napalm, and we light
Man.
1,000 toads on fire, and it's like, I'm doing my good for the community. What are you doing,
But
mate?
I'm doing what I have to do for citizenship.
like it's weird how Calamity of Snakes escalates so that you just keep being shocked because first they're just driving over snakes and you're like, oh, that's fucked up, but then you get kind of used to it, and then by the end they're throwing snakes into fires and you're like, what? This should not be on film. I'm a worse person for having watched this.
Do you think this is Indiana Jones's favorite movie?
Could be. I hate snakes. I love Calamity of Snakes.
I love seeing snakes getting killed. So you watched a 90-minute snuff film about
Yeah.
snakes.
Big deal.
If it,
Deal.
It's almost a must-watch just because there's very few films I watch nowadays that make me drop my jaw. But beyond that, I didn't watch a lot of what the fuck stuff. There's some messed up body horror stuff on VHS Beyond, some kind of like sewing people into dog puppet suits and stuff like that. That's kind of what the fuck.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But
That was Justin Long directed that segment.
there's like a Sidewinder what the fuck. I watched Pixote this year. It's a Brazilian movie. I watched it for the Criterion Challenge, and it's a very good movie. But it has a lot of something I wasn't used to in a movie, in that it has a lot of boy dick just hanging around. There's a lot of teen boy dick just flapping in your face in this movie. This movie takes place in like a boys' reformatory, and so there's just like boy penis flapping everywhere from ages 7 to 15. Just that is not something I'm used to seeing in a movie, so I consider that a little bit what the fuck.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
I'm not even going to bother making a joke. It's too easy.
It's too risky.
Yeah, no, it's weird when there's like a little boy dick in a movie. Like I was watching a Jodorowsky movie last
Yeah.
year.
There's some in Lone Wolf and Cub.
El Topo, yeah, and Lone Wolf and Club. But I was watching El Topo, and like he was just walking around with this little boy who's naked
Yeah.
except for a cowboy hat the whole time.
In Pixote, there's boy rapes. It's like Oz with boys.
If you're a boy dad, you're like used to just seeing a little kid walk around with his dick out. It's like not
Yeah.
a big deal. It
Blah, blah,
just
blah, blah.
seems normal.
Yeah, but it's
Put that thing
it's
away.
weird when you don't.
I mean, I don't know what you saw in Pixote. I don't even want to know.
They're in the showers.
no.
Oh, you remember Oz when Schillinger took that shit on Beecher's chest?
It's kids doing that.
But with kids. It's like the Bugsy Malone version
Fun
of
for the whole
Oz.
family. Luke, did you get into any what the fuckery this year or weird shit? I know you get into weird shit.
Yeah, I'm a weird fucker. I watched a recent movie called Abruptio. I mean, it has Sid Haig in it, who died in like 2019. It's all puppets. I don't want to spoil too much about it.
Suffice
But I
to
will.
say,
Well, okay, good talk.
it's always novel and fun to see puppets in a movie.
Yeah, they're human-sized puppets, and they're very unnerving looking, and it all plays out as an increasingly violent and strange and antisocial fever dream. and it all leads up to a really disturbing and surprisingly poignant climax. It has Christopher McDonald, that's the guy who played Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore in it. It has Jordan Peele. It has James Marsters, who's from our favorite movie, Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
He's the main guy in it. I would actually give that a solid recommend.
Piccolo
Abruptio.
himself.
Yeah, Piccolo, that's the character. I don't give a fuck about Dragon Ball. Another recent movie, I think from last year, was One Cut of the Dead.
Oh, that's a really cool one.
Oh, have you seen it?
Yeah, that's a great conceit. Talking about awesome one-take stuff, the entire conceit of that movie is just that it's broken into two halves, where one half is just this one cut. I'm sure they use trickery and camera, stuff like that, but it's all played out like one cut, and they do it masterfully.
This is a movie I don't want to spoil any more about.
Yeah,
I really just wanted to recommend it to Mitch specifically.
It's a movie.
Not that fucked up, but it is. It's actually like a crowd pleaser, and it will surprise you in ways.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to get Mitchell to get in touch with his human side.
Yeah.
No can do, pal.
I think you need to smile.
No.
You'd be prettier if you smiled more.
But it is a movie. Go in as blind as possible and just know from the conceit that there's an amazing one cut that you will be entertained. But it's actually better than just
like
that.
a 30-minute one cut.
One cut of the day. Well, duly noted.
Speaking of which, there was a good action movie from this year called One More Shot, which is the sequel to One Shot, starring Scott Adkins.
Okay.
Any movie he's in, I watch all of them.
Yeah.
They're fucking great. If you like action movies, he's the best going. Another movie that fucked me up was Belladonna of Sadness.
I've heard a lot about this.
I think
I've seen
it's
it
from
logged on Letterboxd
the
a lot.
60s or 70s. It's an animated movie. It's very psychedelic. There's a lot of vaginal imagery. There's sexual assaults. It's like a Pink Floyd movie. I watched it with my sister. She's like, let's watch this. And I'm like, great pick, Charity. It's like a 30-minute psychedelic rape sequence for like the second time. I was like, this is some of the most alarmingly beautiful and like shockingly transgressive shit I've ever seen.
The strangest boner.
I could also just throw out Midori. It's an animated movie as well, which is like touted as like the most fucked up animated movie. It's like a cheap piece of crap, but there is some transgressive and interesting imagery of it, of like weird circus freaks doing stuff.
Nice.
So if you're into weird transgressive animation, you can check that one out too.
What about you, Vonn? What fucked your brain up this year?
Nothing really rearranged my brain too much. It's pretty rearranged already. So this category I had a bit of a hard time with, but here are some movies that had some imagery that is still with me, or just some general curios that I think would be of interest. The first one is a 2000 Korean movie called The Isle. The plot is there is a mute woman who is the caretaker for a vacation fishing community. There's a bunch of different people living in these little fishing huts out on this lake, and she's the only means of transportation. She's the farrier, so nobody can go on or leave without her taking them around. And then this convict, or this man who's on the run from the law, comes and she shelters him. There's a bit of a love story. There's a couple really fucked up scenes involving fishhooks that just will live with me probably for the rest of my life.
Is it sexual?
There is a bit of sexuality to it for
Nice,
sure.
I'm already gooning.
Yeah, so that one was interesting. Another one was Ratman. It's a 1988, it's an Italian movie. Features Nelson Della Rosa, who was at the time the shortest man in the world, and he had some sort of a birth defect or something like that, where I think he has like the mind of a child. He's very tiny. He was in the island of Dr. Moreau. He was the little guy who was always following around
Brando?
Yeah, Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando met him and he just loved that guy, so he's like, I gotta make a movie with him.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, so he's just dressed up like a rat the whole time, and basically he's a rat, a hyper-intelligent rat who goes on a killing rampage in a city, and this scientist and his sexy assistant are trying to stop him. A lot of the action is crudely done. It's not like, it's very, very crude, but it's really interesting and pretty funny.
It's great. We've got really diverse roles for little people in films. They can be leprechauns. They can be rats.
It can be a munchkin if a Wizard of Oz is in.
They can be other kinds of horrible monsters.
I've always thought there's nothing more disturbing than a person who is of unusual size, either too large or too small. It very much disturbs me.
Yeah,
I don't care for it.
Like that guy in Alien Romulus that plays that monster at the end. It's like, wow, that was a freaky monster.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's the guy who played him. Oh, that's just the guy.
Yeah, that's just what he looks like.
He just has
He's a Serbian
neck,
basketball player or something like that.
like an extraterrestrial. Yeah, he's got this. It's a neck that defies nature.
So another movie that was pretty much borderline or full-on exploitation. So this movie wasn't really too what the fuck or weird. It was more of a curio. It's called The Crippled Masters. It's a kung fu movie from, I think, like 1979 or 1981, something like that. It stars two martial artists, both with birth defects. One doesn't have arms and one doesn't have legs. And they need to work together to overthrow this warlord. And there's like this really cool scene where, you know, the guy with the arms jumps on the other guy's back, or he's like, they're spinning on their back and they become this super unstoppable warrior once they team up.
Like Freak the Mighty.
Yeah, it's pretty low budget. The movie's not great, but it's pretty cool. And those guys they have some chops. Like they did some pretty neat martial arts sequences with the two of them.
Well, that does it for this segment. Coming up next, we have our top 10 Haktua girl moments. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I can't wait for her coin to go live.
Yeah, I invested a lot. So I hope nothing gets lost.
Yeah, I took out my mortgage for my house.
Just look at your father and you'll see how you took off to him. Me, I'm just another like my brothers on my mother's jeans.
You're a celebrity. You're on my list.
So next, we're going to play a little game called Celebrity Hunt.
Get your minds out of the gutter, you trash.
So the name of the game is, I name a celebrity, and then we all yell, Hunt! And then it goes around the table. Mitch, you go next.
Yeah.
And you have to name a celebrity whose name starts with the last letter from the name of the celebrity that I just named.
Then the couch cushion goes next.
And so on. Yeah, then the couch cushion.
So I'm hoping
And Jordan Peterson goes next.
there's no silent letters being thrown in here to throw me off, because you know that's a crafty strategy for a game like this. Silent T's, silent S's.
All right. I'm going to start it off. Matthew McConaughey. Hunt!
Hunt.
Yul Brenner. Wait, we all have to yell Hunt, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck.
Hunt. Yul Brenner.
Hunt. Gilbert.
Hunt!
Hunt.
Ricardo Montalban.
Hunt.
Hunt.
Ricardo Montalban.
Ricardo Montalban. Hunt.
Neil Breen. Hunt!
Hunt.
Neil Simon. Hunt. Wait,
Who's Neil Simon?
he wrote Barefoot in the Park. Oh, wait, are we only doing actors?
Hunt. No.
We just said celebrities. It
Yeah,
could be
that's
anybody.
right.
Nancy Reagan.
Hunt! Why do we keep getting ends? Nicolas Cage. Hunt!
Errol Flynn.
Hunt!
Nick Nolte.
Hunt! Eric Bogosian.
Neil Diamond.
Hunt!
Hunt. Dennis Quaid.
Hunt! Don Pardo. Hunt!
Hunt. Helen Hunt. Hunt. No.
Don Pardo.
God, I can't think of anyone who starts with an O.
You'll get there.
Oren.
Orenthal James Simpson?
Yeah, that's it.
I love that guy.
Back to N.
Neil McDonough.
Hunt! Nice.
I think it's an H.
Hey, yeah, it is. Harry Houdini.
Hunt. Izzy Izzard.
That's not a person, motherfucker.
Izzard? Isn't that a
You
comedian?
got one more chance, Mitch, then you're out.
That's a British comedian.
That's Eddie Izzard.
Is he or isn't he? Fuck.
Maybe it doesn't have to be Izzy.
I'm out. There's no celebrities who start with an I.
Isla Fisher, Issa Rae,
Ian Holmes,
Ian Holm,
mentioned earlier in this episode.
Idina Menschenschmenka.
Idina Menzel, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
We're gonna talk about some foreign films. We're gonna just pull the ripcord on this bit and talk about some foreign. What are some favorite foreign movies that everybody watched this year?
I love foreigners.
I love Jukebox Heroes.
Yeah.
I love Cold as Ice.
Foreign films. What do
Yeah.
you got, Vonn?
Now,
This is a tough category. So my first one isn't actually a foreign film, but it's
it's domestic. Purely domestic.
it's a Canadian movie, and I think that it's pretty underseen. And kind of when people talk about foreign films, that's really just code for things that don't come from America, right? Like
Yeah.
Weird ones.
weird ones.
Yeah.
No, there was a movie that I really enjoyed that I watched at the beginning of the year called Rice Boy Sleeps. It's a Canadian movie, and it's about a Korean family. These parents immigrated from Korea, and it kind of follows the relationship between their son, who's born in Canada and raised by Korean parents, and he has to kind of rectify what that means. Like, is he Korean? Is he Canadian? Who is he? And it's kind of a coming of age story, and it's a really sweet, touching film. Came out in 2023, and it's awesome. Yeah, it's written, produced, edited, and directed by Anthony Shim, and I'm really curious to see what he does in the future. So I'm going to throw that out. Even though it's not strictly a foreign film, I'm going to use the little loophole and say, check that movie out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. That feels like a thing that's becoming more of a genre lately, is kind of the second, third generation Asian American or Asian Canadian kind of movies.
Yeah, coming to terms with your heritage, where you live, and trying to rectify what all of that means. And also, it takes place largely in Vancouver in the 90s, so it definitely has a nostalgic boost for me in that regard. Other ones we already talked about, Evil Does Not Exist, check it out. Hamaguchi is one of my guys. I've watched a couple of his movies this year. Drive My Car is actually one of my favorite movies ever. So
Great film.
that was good. Four Daughters. That was a documentary that was nominated for the Academy Award last year. It's a Tunisian movie, and it follows the story of this mother and her four daughters who become radicalized and join up with ISIS. And two of them do, and two of them don't. And they reenact various kind of crucial moments in their life and in their decision to do it. So they have footage and interviews of the mother and the daughters and the other daughters who are in jail at the end of the movie, and they have actors reenacting certain key moments that led to their radicalization. It's a really cool movie. It's pretty flooring. Saw it at so that's worth checking out. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube, actually. It's like a lot of those independent international
What's it called?
docs.
One more time?
Four Daughters.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Definitely worth a look.
That's
Adding it to my watch list.
definitely just been a thing that's been interesting in current events over the years, like through the war on terror and stuff, was like Western-raised Middle Eastern people being radicalized in some way and going over to help ISIS or whatever.
Yeah, well, no, they were Tunisian, and I think they went over to Libya, and really, it just kind of gives you insight. It's like, fuck, man, like their whole family dynamic is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And also you kind of get some backdrop about what's going on in the country, what's going on in their lives, and it kind of puts a lot of things into perspective that we don't really get to see through our Western lens.
Like, there's enough that's radicalizing just being a white guy in the West, where you're like, oh, this is an evil system I'm in.
Yeah.
I want to blow it up right now.
Yeah. And then the final one I'll throw out there is it's a 2013 movie. It's called The Hunt, starring Mads Mikkelsen. Really cool movie. It's Mads Mikkelsen is a teacher's assistant. He gets accused of sexually assaulting a child, and it's a small, tight-knit community, and he just is immediately ostracized from the community, and it just kind of follows him trying to exist in kind of the most aggressive environment possible, where he's persona non grata everywhere he goes. It's a real kind of tough watch, but super interesting, and Mads Mikkelsen nails it.
Pretty relatable for you, I imagine.
Totally, I get it. I just like
You're always Mr. Happy.
lots of times I'm watching movies and I'm trying to see like who am I in this movie. This time I didn't have to think about
Am I
it
the
at all.
groper? Am I the groped? Yeah.
Directed by Thomas Vinterberg.
Vinterberg. Oh, that's familiar.
Yeah,
That's another round, isn't it?
I think he is another. Yeah,
Yeah,
same director
seen a
as
couple
Another
of his
Round,
movies.
which is another
Yeah.
awesome movie. I didn't watch it this year, but you know, Mikkelsen and Vinterberg they've collaborated in the
He's
past.
this Mifune.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They're
those are mine.
buds.
Yeah, that's a good filmmaker. I definitely want to watch that.
Hell yeah. What about you, Luke?
Oh,
What about you?
I've got a few worth naming. Red Rooms is a movie that's French-Canadian that's getting a lot of buzz. It's kind of a tech thriller. It's pretty shocking in how bleak it is, and the acting is really good. It's very modern. I'll say that it stuck with me for a while. Yeah, a lot of people are really liking it. It's really fucking good. I'm glad to see a Canadian filmmaker other than Cronenberg getting put on the map
Nice.
here.
Yeah.
Because this is somebody who I think is going to be a major talent.
That's why I wanted to
got,
throw Rice Boy Sleeps out there,
Yeah.
just because it's
2 Canadian movies in our foreign
we're putting out some good stuff
Yeah,
lately.
yeah. For sure.
Got a few more French
Blackberry
movies.
was awesome,
As
too.
for more like classic French movies from 1986, I watched it's a 2-part movie, Jean de Florette and Manon de Sauce.
Oh yeah, Manon of the Spring.
Yeah, Manon of the Spring. It's the first movie has Gerard Depardieu, and it's kind of a 2 generations of family. They have this farm. It's just an immediately engrossing movie. It's a devastating kind of thriller, tragic comedy.
We watched that movie in high school. Mitch.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched one part of that in high school. I don't think I ever watched both parts, but yeah, Gerard Depardieu always had that like reputation as like a foreign like high ranked actor you could slap and things. I think he got Me Too'd recently though.
Yeah, I think he's a creep, but no big surprise there.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, he's a great actor, and he's really
Yeah.
fantastic in Jean de Florette. Definitely worth checking out those 2 movies, and it's very pleasant. If you ever played like The Witcher, I mean, there's no vampires in this, but if you ever played The Witcher 3 expansion, Blood and Wine, you get like that nice-looking French countryside, and
Oh,
you just
yeah.
kind of bathe in it for a while. But also, there's an interesting story about interpersonal dynamics happening in
Yeah,
there. A
there's-
thriller.
There's something sinister bubbling underneath that pastoral
Yeah.
scenery.
Very
Yeah,
much
that's
literally
always the
so.
best.
The Beast was really good too, starring what's her name? My biggest crush.
Oh.
How many fucking drinks have I had that I can't remember Léa Seydoux' name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't been able to pull the trigger on that one because I'm worried that I'll be disappointed.
It's long and it's very heady. I wouldn't even recommend it necessarily to anybody, but it's a movie that stuck with me, and I appreciate the quality of acting and the audacity of it. I just love to see filmmakers going all the way.
And Léa Seydoux is a really interesting act. She makes bold choices, and she's not afraid to put it all out there. And you can see everything in her. Like even a lot of her performance that I've seen, they're quite internal, but you can still see behind the face and see what's going on there.
She has so much versatility. She has so much strength. She has so much vulnerability. She's really one of my favorite actresses of all time. Besides just, I don't know, I just find her unbelievably sexy.
Yeah,
Brings me to another movie I really liked. It was from the director of Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet.
Okay.
This movie was from 2019. It's called Sibylle, and it stars Virginie Efira, who you may have seen in Paul Verhoeven's, what the fuck's the one with the horny nuns? Benedetta.
Benedetta.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie.
Sibylle is a great movie, too.
We got to do some exploitation.
Speaking of women directors, Justine Triet, Anatomy of a Fall, Sibylle. I've only seen
Yeah.
the 2 of her movies so far, but I really want to see what she does next. She's fucking awesome. I really like her movies. They really defy expectations. They're thrillers. They have a distinctly female point of view.
I'm sure I've only seen Anatomy of a Fall, but that was a highly watchable court drama.
Yeah.
Where there's just something voyeuristic about getting an inside glance into like a couple's arguments like that. Super a gripping watch.
One of my favorite movies from last year,
Yeah.
for sure. And just another shout out I'll give to foreign movies that I watched this year. I'm sure everybody's seen RRR, but if you like that, do not sleep on Bahubali 1 and 2 for another 2 for movie. for an epic fucking saga. SS Rajamouli, the same filmmaker as RRR.
Hell yeah.
Check those fucking movies out. You will not be disappointed. You'll have so much fun.
Yeah.
They have all the music, the bombast, all the fucking studs, beautiful women, crazy action, just epic storytelling. It is so much fun watching these movies.
What about you, Mitch? I know you mostly like to stick to comfortable movies. You don't like to be put out of your comfort zone.
No. I only
American
watch
Guinea Pig 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
pure American movies.
Technically American movies, but they're foreign to me. Not so foreign if you look at my basement.
I like movies that speak to my experience. Movies about
Speak American.
farmers and people working in the South, working in the grape fields and things. Yeah, like we said, it's not a big deal for any one of us to watch on any given day a foreign film. So our letterbox watch lists for this year are just dotted with foreign films everywhere. But it was a year of some broadening my horizons. I checked out
finally.
Finally. I checked out some different new film movements and stuff. Like I watched The Fireman's Ball by Milos Forman. It's part of the Czech New Wave. I've never watched a Czechoslovakian film before, so that was kind of interesting.
Foreman, of course, director of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah,
and,
The People versus Larry Flynn.
Amadeus.
He came over to America.
And had great success.
Yeah, it had good success. And all those movies have those cool, like, Polish posters and Eastern European movie posters that are just, like, a really cool poster style. Like, if you're into that kind of different movie poster aesthetics, it's an interesting thing to check out. I mean, I thought I would run through just, like, 5 directors quickly that I watched. I did the Japanuary challenge this year.
I've just been run through by 2,000 bonobos.
Like, I think Luke Vonn and I, like, probably Japan is what...
Do it for the clout.
Japan has such an established film industry, and they've just been pumping out great stuff since, Imperial Japan era and before.
Yeah, they're horrible fascists like the United States, but it turns out they also have a strong film industry, almost as big and as strong as the United States.
Yeah.
Well, we were all talking
So
about...
there's a lot coming from there that
on
is
all of
worth
us,
watching.
Well-
after the U.S., Japan is the number one country for movies that we're watching.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that in Japan right now, that the movie landscape is such that I guess the girls pick what movie you go to. So the movies that are actually really successful in Japan are like lots of rom-coms and stuff like that. Whereas like a lot of the Japanese movies that we watch, like old Akira Kurosawa samurai movies and stuff, like that's like watching like an old classic. Like your average rank and file Japanese person probably isn't watching a ton of Kurosawa or, these classic Japanese.
So people like Kurosawa...
same as like here, we don't watch Buster Keaton every day.
Exactly.
I mean, we do, but
yes. Every morning when I'm having my cereal.
So that's just something I always find interesting about, because like there is like a lot of Japan files and stuff in the West, but I feel like they have a bit of a skewed perspective on Japan sometimes when it comes to that kind of thing.
Well, and comedy doesn't really translate across borders as well as other themes do. Like, there are exceptions, like we were talking about Jacques Tati a little bit earlier with Playtime.
Yeah.
That's pretty across the board. Mime, vaudeville, stuff like that works, but a lot of visual gags may or may not work. A lot of innuendo and just kind of a lot of comedy is developed around social norms, and that is hugely different from country to country, even from within countries. So, and
I mean, definitely any like current event references or stuff like that.
Like, take Canadian comedy, for instance. It's not funny.
This hour has 22 minutes.
We've never produced a single funny person in this country.
Not true. That's actually not true at all.
But I thought I'd just throw out...
Laughing warms the body up, it warms the soul up, so we're typically pretty funny folks.
There's like 5 movies I thought I'd throw out there. Mainly I'm throwing out the directors' names. These are Japanese directors. There's like Crazy Thunder Road. Gakuryu Ishii released that. He's like a totally unique visionary director. If you watch one of his movies, it'll blow your mind. The only thing you can describe them as is punk rock. I watched 3 of his movies this year: Burst City, Crazy Thunder Road, and Electric Dragon 80,000 Volts. And they're just like the anime equivalent of a live action movie, just like insane fighting and the camera spinning around 360 degrees. It makes you want to puke. It's just visually so bonkers that it's a must
That's why I
see.
go to movies.
Yeah.
If I want that, I'll watch a Hollywood movie.
The second one I'll throw out there is Labyrinth of Cinema, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. You guys have seen a house by him, that very crazy,
okay.
like haunted house movie. But he made this movie, Labyrinth of Cinema. It goes through the history of Japanese cinema, and it's as unique as you would expect from the guy who made House. Woman in the Dunes, they really wanted to give Hiroshi Teshigahara an Oscar. They tried to give him an Oscar in 1964 for the best foreign film, and then they tried to give him an Oscar. They tried in 1965 for best director,
But she was stuck in the dunes.
he didn't win.
Warren Beatty just kept reading the wrong
He
name.
couldn't get out of the Abdil Abaluzu.
That's John Travolta.
Sorry, Hiroshi Teshigahara.
Sorry, Delta Zim got another Oscar for some reason. It's not even a real person.
We gotta stop bringing Travolta out to give these things away.
It's a great movie. It's a guy gets trapped in the dunes.
Yeah.
He has to get out of the dunes. How do you
Yeah,
get
I want
out?
to see that. That sounds really up my alley.
The other one I'll throw out there, Kenji Fukasaku, probably one of the more recognizable directors, Japanese directors in the West. He's famous for directing Battle Royale, which Quentin Tarantino made famous with Kill Bill. That character Gogo Yubari who throws like the chain around, that's directly pulled out of Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And Kenji Fukasaku, he famously made tons of
A lot of
Yakuza
people said,
movies.
"Oh well, Hunger Games is just ripping off Battle Royale."
Yeah,
When it
exactly.
came out, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which, yeah,
I think Hunger
that's-
Games is its own thing, but
It is, but
It's got a whole other world.
I'm
behind
sure
it.
it
But
was
if you liked
inspired in
Hunger
some
Games,
way.
you might like Battle Royale. If you like Squid Game, that kind of thing.
If you
Battle
like
Royale
people
is
just forced to
Yeah.
compete in games for their life,
kids specifically. If you like watching kids have to kill each other,
Mitch,
Yeah.
you love that movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's the best.
it's a pretty good movie.
But like he's probably most famous for in the West for Tora Tora Tora. In that movie, the Japanese scenes were directed by a Japanese director, and the Western scenes
Isn't
were
that,
directed by a Western.
Kurosawa? Didn't he work on that one?
That was Fukasaku and Richard Fleischer, who was
right.
another High and Low podcast alum. He directed The Vikings. So the one I threw up here is Battles Without Honor of Humanity, Deadly Fight in Hiroshima. He made like 12 of these Battles Without Honor or Humanity Yakuza movies, but I threw this one up there because it's got Sonny Chiba as the bad guy, the Street Fighter himself, and he plays a very flamboyant bad guy in this one who wears he's like a pimp with like a feather in his hat. He's great. And then the last one I'll throw out there, Teruo Ishii, Shogun's Joy of Torture. We're actually doing one of his movies coming up on the podcast here. We're doing The Horrors of Malformed
Sure, our
Man,
listeners can't
but-
wait.
Yeah. He's Japan's king of cult. He did a lot of these pinku kind of erotic type movies, and he did a lot of
Yeah, Pinku is like Japanese for
softcore porno.
porn. Yeah.
It wouldn't offend
I'm
the
going to add
modern
that to my
sensibilities.
search term repertoire.
Yeah, it's Roman pornos. They would call them.
Roman.
They did a lot of softcore pornos, hardcore enough to make you sweat.
What?
But
What?
he also did like a lot of what was called
make me wanna
Ero
smoke.
Guro movies, erotic,
go to
grotesque. Like, I don't. He's a weird guy. He would like blend like erotic situations, touch and stuff with like gross like deformity, and trying to play both sides of your brain that way, where you're like kind of turned on but also kind of disgusted by what you're seeing on the screen. So it's an interesting
for me.
interesting experience. But
42 tabs, each one more extreme than the last.
yeah,
Right on.
I'm disgusted.
So Mitch is a super freak.
that's what I'll throw out for my foreign movies. Yeah, those main Japanuary picks.
Oh, thank you for those. It's great.
You're gonna be fapping all night long.
I genuinely hope that some of our listeners are willing to take the dive, take the plunge, and check out some of those movies.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, And afterwards, we're handing out official pardons to 6 Me Too'd celebrities. You'll never guess who number 4 is.
You'll never guess who's back on the podcast. Welcome back. We're going to do what we do every episode. One word impressions.
Every single episode.
You all know this game. You all love it.
Were you even listening?
What I like is when we do it, we do Russian roulette version. So whoever loses gets shot in the head.
To be fair,
That's what happened to our 4th co-host.
You get it's a 1 in 6 shot of being shot in the head.
That's how you know we're.
It's
way
1 in
more
6 this time,
hardcore.
right, Mitch? You're not going to
Yeah.
fuck it up like last time?
No, I mean you think about the other movie podcasts; they don't even do 1 in 4. It's not that big a deal if we do 1 in 6.
We might have missed the in memoriam bit, but we poured one out for our 4th co-host. He'll be missed.
I thought he had it coming.
Sadly, he was the least fuckable on the list.
Yeah, which is weird because there's some unfuckable people on this.
Yeah, Tony Todd was at the top. That's all I remember.
It was an emotional game.
We've each texted one other person on this podcast a secret word. The other 2 people do not know this word. It is up to the recipient of this text to choose somebody that they will do an impression of and say the one word, and we will try to guess who they are trying to impersonate. Mitchell, why don't you kick us off?
Sisyphean.
Sisyphean? Is that John Travolta?
Yes. Yes. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Deltazine.
The wickedly talented Mitchell McIsaac.
Sisyphean.
I guess I'll go next. Are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Okay, Luke.
I can't believe anyone got it.
Luke, who do you got?
Introspective.
Al Pacino.
Terrible.
That was a good owl.
Reciprocity.
Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Shit.
Nice.
Wow. Not bad. Not bad. I'm very impressed
Me
by
too.
this, actually.
Okay, let's do one more round. I'm going to extend yours to 2 words.
Oh shit.
Vaughn, because you go last. Okay, Mitch, you're up first.
Wait, let me think first. Toe jam.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
God. Didn't sound anything like
I can't believe once
did
again,
you
I
get
can't
that?
believe someone got that. I just did a vague surfer dude voice, and Vaughn got it. So.
Transubstantiation.
Sam Elliott. No.
No.
Ah.
Fuck.
Is it from Switchblade Sisters?
No.
No.
I'm floundering here. Transubstantiation. Can't do this voice at all.
I love that my shitty voices somehow got picked up, so I just get to sit back and watch this.
I'm trying not to do a voice I've done already on the podcast because you guys will know it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
Interesting. That's a hint. That's a hint in and of itself. A voice he's never tried before.
Transubstantiation.
Is it Beavis?
No. Give me one more guess, Mitch.
Is it Josh Brolin?
No. I'm supposed to be Seth Rogen.
Oh yeah, I can actually see it now that you mention it. Transubstantiation. Yeah.
Well, that was embarrassing. Your turn, Vaughn. I wanted to embarrass myself. We can't all hit him easy.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Alan
Christmas is
Rickman.
canceled.
Is that an Alan,
Alan Rickman?
No.
No, it's not Alan Rickman. I
Really?
thought for
Wow.
sure.
We both thought Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That would have been easier.
He famously canceled Christmas in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, he hates Christmas. He
Merry-
loves hating Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Alfred Hitchcock?
Yeah.
Just had to make him sound a little fatter.
Yeah. Get a bit back.
Bit
further
more
in my throat there.
jowly. Get some marbling into the voice there. He was a great fat man.
Another terrific round of what we do every episode.
Yeah.
One word impressions.
That's just a little something we do to get in the frame of mind to talk about celebrities and movies and stuff. We do these little games.
We want to wear them as a skin suit.
Yeah.
And we're back on another episode of American Maniacs. It's me, Wayne Gale. And I'm here with a worldwide exclusive interview you've all been waiting for. The man, the myth, the legend, Luigi Mangione, the CEO shooter himself.
Hey, you insulted the intelligence of the American people. Hey.
Why did you do it, Luigi? Do you think you have the right to deal out life and death and judgment?
I'm a Luigi. I make it a pizza for the nice CEO man.
I'm a Luigi. Am I Italian on my roster? I don't know, man.
I seen a man on the street. He said he want a nice pizza pie.
Have you been looking on social media? Have you been looking, mate? You know, there's OnlyFans girls with dildos, the suction cup ones, stuck up to the TVs going, oh,
They put a dildo in all the places, in the front hole, in the back hole. It's about more than that.
you know they want to fuck you, right?
They want to make it a they want to make it a pizza.
This is the part in the podcast where we find out Mitch is Italian. His Italian chick has.
They want to make it a pizza on my bed.
It's got exactly one note.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that guy's a hero.
All right, welcome back. What a riveting interview. I'm going to quickly rattle off some
Can't
fun
believe we got
facts.
the exclusive on that. Wayne Gale in the studio.
Wayne Gale and Luigi Mangi.
Imagine. Yeah. Wow.
The wickedly talented Luigi.
Wickedly talented
Is he-
CEO shooter.
I've been wondering, is he any relation to the Chuck Mangione, the flute player? You guys know that trumpet
I know
player?
Chuck Mangione. He plays
Yeah.
a flugelhorn, you fucking
Oh, a
Philistine.
flugelhorn. Oh, okay.
All right, I'm going to rattle off some fun facts, some random 2024 highlights.
Facts.
All right, so we went through our letterbox stats here. Here's some things we found about me. No surprise, my most watched actor was a Godzilla actor, Kenpachiro Satsuma. Highest rated actor was, of course, Nobuo Nakamura from a few...
Godzilla movies?
No, this guy's from some Ozu movies.
Oh.
Here's
I don't know him by name.
Me neither, but he's got a face. You'd recognize the face. Here's some movies that I recently rated 5 stars. Do you agree with me? I don't care. Mulholland Drive. Finally got around to watching it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Godzilla vs.
agreed.
Mothra, the 1995 one. It's from the Heisei era, so it's
Oh,
in
the
the
95
90s.
one.
Fucking
I feel like I've seen the
Interesting.
original Godzilla.
I've seen the original one a bunch.
Yeah, that one's a 5-star.
The
I
Heisei one
think
is awesome.
The
not seen
Godzilla Mothra headbutts are usually considered some of the better encounters in the Godzilla.
This one, there's an evil version of Mothra called Batra. But what I like about the whole Heisei era of Godzilla is that Godzilla is never the good guy. He's always, at best, sort of a fair weather friend. But usually he's fucking everything up, and he's just as much of a menace as whoever he's fighting.
Pulgasari.
He's an elemental force.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rushmore. Love that movie. It's my cozy comfort place. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Saw it for the first time. Loved it. Excellent.
Haven't seen it since I was a kid.
It's got that famous Donald Sutherland scene. This is the only thing I know about this movie. Him at the end pointing and screaming at the camera.
Is it that remake?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The 1978 one.
Yeah.
Most watched studio, not surprising with all my Godzillas, is Toho with 14 films.
So for me, I got most watch actor is Takashi Shimura, who we remember from Throne of Blood. He's the lead in Ikiru, but he's in tons of Akira Kurosawa movies. But funny enough, my highest rated actor is James Woods.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was wondering how they.
That's why we have a portrait up here.
Yeah, we love James Woods. I'm trying to think, what movies did I see him in? Videodrome is one of them. What the fuck else did Once Upon a Time in America.
Excellent movie.
Yeah, I watched that for the first time. That's one hell of a fucking movie, dude.
I haven't seen it in like 20 years, probably.
You gotta watch. I don't know if you watched the Sergio Leone full cut, but it's like 4 hours long plus. It is something else. It took me like a week to watch it, but what a journey.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit. And it's very horny and uncomfortable in a lot of places. I'll say that.
Just perfect.
Nice.
It's got Vonn written all. That's me.
De Niro and
right
Woods and the whole cast have never been better. That's a fantastic movie. Most recent 5-star ratings. I just watched Hoop Dreams for the first time.
I haven't seen it.
That's one. That's on the top of the list.
It's a real indictment of the racial inequality in America, and also just a good basketball drama. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, fantastic. Sam Peckinpah. This was like his last Western. It's got the late great Chris Christopherson, Bob Dylan in a major supporting role. James Coburn's fucking cool as hell in it.
Nice.
The soundtrack is all Bob Dylan. It fucking rips. It is so crazy and so good. Badlands is another 5-star movie, of course. Age of Innocence, I already mentioned. And Evil Does Not Exist, I already mentioned. Most watched studio, Toho.
Toho.
A lot of Kurosawa they produced.
Mitch, what about you?
Well,
Probably Bambi, Cinderella.
Yeah.
I got some fancy
Really
stats
weak
for you.
shit.
Fantasia.
Beautiful mind.
Well, my most watched actor was Jose
Ryan Reynolds.
Mojica Marins.
He's so hot right now.
That British, British. My God,
What is-
Brazil's Freddy Krueger.
What is going on
I
in that
can't
big,
stop.
beautiful
I
brain of
can't
yours?
stop calling him British. My highest rated actor is kind of a weird one. He's a Ralph Hereforth, and he appeared in a movie we did for the podcast this year called Speed Racer, and he was in like one other movie I watched. He's a kind of random actor who just landed in a couple of movies that are highly rated by people, and so it's like I got no idea who this guy is, but he's in like 2 movies that I watched this year that I did quite enjoy. I thought Speed Racer was like a 4.5. I think I
got
rated it
LQ
4.5.
Jones is one of my most watched actors. It's like, who the fuck is that? Oh, he's the guy with the weird fucked up face who's in Pat Garrett. He's in Wild Bunch. He's in Lone Wolf McQueen.
Like a character guy, Game recognized game, and they're looking very familiar. Very familiar.
Well, that's it for that segment. When we come back, we're releasing That's it for that segment. We finally got our hands on the surveillance footage. Fuck, I can't say this. You're gonna play us out. Fuck. Coming up next, we have some pickup lines from Jerry O'Connell, some Christmas baking recipes from Divine, and hair care pointers from Ralph Macchio. Stay tuned.
So we're going to do a little fun fact here. Here's each of our most watched directors of 2024.
Fun facts.
Mustard.
For
Real heads, no.
Hey, you guys. Vaughn, what crazy directors were your most watched for 2024?
This is fun to go through because I have Ishiro Honda, David Lynch, Wes Anderson, Tony Scott, and Jun Fukada. So Ishiro Honda and Jun Fukada, between the two of them, they directed, I think, every single one of the Showa-era Godzilla movies. There might have been another director who did 1 or maybe 2. So my top directors list is dominated by Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
As it should be dominated.
Yeah.
Godzilla's a big lizard.
David Lynch, kind of delved into him a bit more this year. That's fun. He's one of my guys. Wes Anderson, I feel this doesn't count. 2 of the movies I watched were those Netflix shorts he did. I feel like all of those could be rolled into one, but they're really good. They're 20 to 30 minutes. They're all Roald Dahl adaptations. His style works perfectly with Roald Dahl's storybook themes.
What did he do? He did the story of Henry Sugar.
Yeah, and Poison and The Rat Catcher.
Okay.
Those are the 3 that I've watched.
You can keep it.
And then I watched Rushmore, and that movie's just a warm bath. I mean, that's a little joy bomb. Tony Scott, that guy's cool.
You can keep him too.
I think all 3 of my
fun.
Tony
He's a
Scott
fun
movies
guy.
were movies that he did with Denzel Washington, and those 2 are special together.
Oh, yeah.
Which ones?
He did
Do you
that
remember?
train movie,
Unstoppable?
right?
It wasn't Unstoppable. I did Deja Vu, which was a cool movie. It takes place in New Orleans. He needs to travel back in time to solve a bombing, like a big act of terrorism. Another one was Crimson Tide. That movie's awesome. Denzel.
Yeah.
Is that the one
Gene
where they get
Hackman.
smushed going down to the Titanic?
That's the one. And then
That's my favorite movie.
you get to see
That
Gene
was-
Hackman's head just pop like that guy's in License to Kill when he gets put in the pressurizer machine.
Nice.
Just like somebody put an air compressor to a balloon filled with spaghetti.
I have always
the
been
Trauma James Bond movie.
Yeah.
by the things the human body does under various pressures.
So yeah, my top ones are all pretty fun movies. I watched a shitload of Godzilla, and a bunch of them more than once. My kids both love Godzilla, so that's one of our go-to things to watch together.
We did an Ashiro Honda movie, the original Godzilla, on the podcast
Hell
this
yeah.
year.
Classic.
The Heisei ones are fun. They're cool. It's weird because
Those ones are more intense, right?
they're a bit more intense, but it's weird because originally Godzilla was a force all into his own, and then the Showa eras are all a specific type of movie. It's monsters in rubber suits, probably fighting in a big field somewhere.
Yeah.
And then when they get to Heisei, there's a lot more city and like Tokyo and city destroying damage and things like that. And you can start to see influence from Western movies really creeping in and informing those Godzilla movies. All of a sudden you have more shit that's like a James Bond movie or a Sylvester Stallone movie. There's like machine gun shootouts in hallways.
gotta fight this kaiju, man.
He's a big...
He's pretty big.
I didn't know they made boxing gloves that big.
He's gonna break me, he says. He's got radioactive breath.
I don't want to get. Doesn't sound too healthy. I don't know why I need radioactive breath on me.
I don't know if Rocky can take it. I mean,
Like he just ate a big...
So I'm
bone
afraid-
of cheese.
Yeah, he's a 400-foot tall monster. Maybe I'm afraid. You want to break me down?
If I can fight Godzilla, then you can fight Godzilla. And we can all fight Godzilla.
By the way, Godzilla's communism. Luke, who are your most watched directors this year?
oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Fun facts.
Akira Kurosawa, Yasujiro Ozu. I've already discussed those 2 guys. David Cronenberg, I watched a few of his films. I like his shit. I really want to see his new one. I'm excited for that.
I'm so happy that he's still making movies.
I think I like all of his movies.
Yeah.
And he's made a fuck ton of them, and they're all over the map. But
I haven't
mileage
seen
may vary.
all of them, but I've definitely enjoyed every one I've seen so far.
They've been bringing in some earlier work from him on Criterion, and that's been fun to get
Yeah.
into, like The Brood.
I watched that this year.
Yeah, Rabid.
Yeah, that too.
I don't remember what else I watched, but his stuff is so specific and perverted, and
Yeah.
it comes from somebody who obviously has issues with women.
He's got-
and
Yeah.
has issues with children and has issues with his body.
He loves phalluses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that there's somebody making such brutally honest and nasty and disgusting and specific films about it, and he's from Canada, I think he's still a fucking amazing director. He's making important stuff.
Hell yeah.
I love watching someone regurgitate their id onto the
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who does that for sure. His stuff is nasty and it makes you think too. It's head scratcher stuff. Like it makes you think. Like I watched The Brood this year, and it like makes you think about motherhood and marriage and stuff like that, as well
It's
as
profound on purpose, but
Yeah.
also profound on accident.
yeah, I think so.
Because he's always telling on himself in his
Yeah.
own movies. And
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh no, this is stuff you write in your diary of a wimpy kid, and you never release it to the public.
yeah. Another interesting one I watched a lot of is Kenji Masumi's films. That was actually, he directed most of the Lone Wolf and Cub series, which I watched all of them finally this year.
Okay.
Super, super fun.
Hell yeah.
What is there, 6 movies? He directed 4 of them, I think. The first 4, the best 4, probably.
Yeah.
I've just
But,
seen Shogun Assassin.
They're all so fun. Like, I'd put this up against any TV show. If you're looking for like a new TV show to watch, you can watch this. It's like a mini series. It's so fucking fun. It's just a guy,
Yeah.
an old samurai who's completely unstoppable, unkillable, getting face down each week. He has a new adventure.
Yeah.
And it's him and a baby. It's The Mandalorian. It's what The Mandalorian is based on.
Yeah.
The baby is also a super badass.
Yeah, the
yeah.
baby becomes more and more badass as it goes on, and
And
it's so fun.
It's totally comic book over the top. Like, it's one of those movies where you cut a guy's arm off and it's going to spew a geyser of blood across the room.
Yeah.
The baby carriage that the baby uses has, like, machine guns and rockets and stuff built into it. Like, old school stuff.
Hell yeah.
Lots of other directors I dove pretty deep on. Another one I might give an honorable mention to is Ken Russell.
Yeah.
Definitely check out The Devils by him. Yeah, interesting filmmaker. Another real weird sicko. Horror was another movie. It was a little more like a
Yeah.
play.
His stuff's very
like a one-woman
interesting.
show.
Very kind of transgressive.
Yes, very sexual, very transgressive. Yeah.
Sweet. Mitch, who are your guys?
Oh, well, one of my guys this year was Jose Mojica Marins, a British filmmaker. He's sometimes been called did I say British? A Brazilian filmmaker. He's
What's
sometimes
the difference?
he's been called Brazil's Freddy Krueger. I think, didn't you guys see one of his movies at the Garneau
At
or
midnight,
something?
I'll swallow your soul.
Yeah.
that movie was
Oh,
sweet.
yeah, that's that guy. Okay.
Arrow released a big,
Super fun.
set of a bunch of his movies.
What's the
this
name of his
year.
boogeyman? Atomizer Joe or something like that?
Yeah, Coffin Joe is his
Coffin Joe,
character.
yeah.
And he was kind of Brazil's crypt keeper.
Hilarious.
Like, he had a show on Brazilian TV where it was a horror anthology show where he would be the Coffin Joe was the crypt keeper who would introduce every new segment. And he made pumped out a bunch of movies too. Some with varying, like, as things went along, Brazil's government became authoritarian after a certain point, and he started to get a lot more censored, and he eventually found himself... There's a documentary based around him on Arrow 2, which goes into this, where he, like, directed Brazil's first bestiality porno. And where,
My man.
Yeah, where
Hell
he
yeah.
just, like... interesting guy who had an interesting career, and a couple of his movies are actually genuinely really good. He ended up being somehow my most watched director with 7 films. Second, I got John Carpenter, which is just kind of a, can't go wrong with some John Carpenter.
Yeah, he's
Right over
likely
the
to show
plate.
up any given
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Jim Jarmusch. I watched one of his Down by Law for the Criterion Challenge this year, and then I actually 2 of his. Ghost Dog also was for the Criterion Challenge.
Ghost Dog's awesome.
Yeah, just amazing cinematography in those movies.
That's probably my favorite
Movies.
of his movies.
Yeah. And I think the cinematographer in both those movies, I think his name is Robbie Mueller, and that's really what is the most cool about his movies, I think, is just like the cool cinematography, just putting some quirky personalities and interesting environments, and it just looks really cool in black and white. Ghost Dog's not in black and white, but it's got a cool vibe too. Then just like randomly, the rest, I watched a bunch of 2 films from a bunch of directors. So Charlie Chaplin, I watched 2 from him this year, and Terry Gilliam, I watched a couple, Time Bandits and Baron Munchausen this
You
year.
hadn't seen those before?
No, those were new Terry Gilliam watches.
Those are like
for me.
millennial classics
Yeah.
to me. Like, I feel like everybody...
Quiet on the set. I'm going to put
Yeah.
this little girl's life in danger.
Yeah.
Now is probably a good time to point out there's no women on any of our...
No,
those
none whatsoever.
Last year, at least, I watched like 10 Agnes Varda films.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I haven't found too many women directors with deep filmographies yet.
That's the thing. And I do have women, I watch
I try to watch
movies,
as many
but
as I can.
Yeah,
We're gonna
not
work
a
on
lot
that.
of multiple movies. Yeah?
Yeah. Listeners, we're listening, we're learning, we're improving.
Women, make more movies. Get out there.
Yeah.
Get out there and make some movies for
And
me
make
to
us a
watch.
sandwich while you're at it.
Get in the film studio.
Well, one of my favorite movies of the year was directed by a woman, but that'll come up later in the list. I've seen a movie by a woman.
I did too. I didn't want to brag, but I did too.
I'll say that 2024 had a lot of great movies directed by women. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
we're getting more diverse perspectives on filmmaking.
Well-
Because when we go back and look at movies, hey, we like these old movies. They're shot on film. They have practical effects.
They wouldn't
have,
let women touch film in
They
the
have
50s.
fucking stories. No.
Flammable. Very dangerous.
But more and more, there's women filmmakers are getting a chance. People of color are getting a chance to make films, and it's giving us
Yeah.
so much more.
Well, I had some thoughts that align with that we'll get to in a later section.
I did watch an Agnes Varda movie this year, my first Agnes Vardis movie. The
Agnavardis.
Vardis from Cleo from 9 to 5.
I love that movie.
Yeah, can't go wrong.
That's
5
on
to
my
7?
personal 5 to
Cleo
7.
from a
7 to 5.
working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
7 to 5.
Yeah.
Cleo.
Think a set, I think it is.
That
Cleo,
doesn't make
she's
sense.
always.
5 to 7. It's 2 hours.
It's only 2
Yeah,
hours.
I think that's right.
5 to 7.
She gets a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, it's kind of in real time.
Yeah.
Like a
Ish.
taste of cherry, you're just sitting with a person who is contemplating their death and what it means to come to the end of their life for an hour and a half. That movie's, I love it.
It's a really
It's
fun movie.
profoundly impactful.
That one worked on me as it went along because as it starts off, Cleo isn't necessarily the most relatable character. She's like a kind of vain. She's a celebrity singer. She's like wealthy. By the end of the movie, you're totally relating with her and you're totally wrapped up in her drama and worried about the diagnosis.
To me, what resonated with that movie is like you feel completely alone when you get a diagnosis like that. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, here's your death sentence. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
even bring it up to all the people around you, all the people that love you,
Yeah.
all the people that are indifferent to you? It doesn't fucking
Yeah.
matter to them, or maybe you think it doesn't matter to them, but like, how do you even broach it? Like, how do you talk
Yeah.
about, oh, I'm going to die, and
The
you're just trying.
existential dread.
Yeah, everybody's trying to go about their day, and
Yeah.
everybody's got their own things going on, and it's like,
I still gotta pay
I don't know,
rent.
man. I've been in that situation, not for myself, but you know.
Yeah.
And
It's like, oh, the world just keeps moving on for everyone else.
exactly, you're just totally stuck there, and you could not feel more alone.
So that I am looking forward to dipping into a bit more of her movies because she's got a bunch on Criterion.
A very varied filmography. She doesn't just go back to the same well again and again, and she's a very
Yeah.
whimsical and funny filmmaker. Yeah, I love Agnes Varda. She's one of my favorites.
She's kind of a French New Wave figure. You can consider her like a contemporary with Godard. And
You
those
could,
kind of guys.
but I wouldn't lump her in with those fucking jerk-offs.
She's got her own voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
As much
right.
as I love Godard.
Yeah.
Coming right up, we have a very exciting segment. High and Low Movie Show has secured an interview with Christopher Walken. He's going to be dishing the dirt on what really happened that one fateful day.
We've got him here in the studio tonight.
Boys, can I come in yet?
Yeah. We actually got a.
We got to take a break real quick, Chris. Why don't you just have a seat over there, okay? Okay.
Chris, we're a little busy right now. We're doing our High and Low 2024 wrap-up show. We can't be
Let me
constantly.
just take my tap dancing shoes off.
We'll let you
that's
know when we're
good.
ready, Chris.
Yeah, the shoes are a bit noisy. Take them off, Chris.
Right, we'll be back with that.
Oh, we're back on the High and Low podcast. And you know, one of the great news headlines for 2024 has been AI, artificial intelligence.
So great.
It's so great.
Good for all
you know,
of us.
It's an epoch-defining, era-changing technology.
Super cool.
I myself,
Is it Gronk? Wouldn't that be epic?
I developed a new AI specifically designed for predicting the future. And so I thought it would be a fun little exercise, Vonn and Luke, if I entered your name into my futuristic AI prediction device and allowed it to predict your futures. What do you guys think about that? Is that a fun thing?
No.
Luke, I'm putting your name.
But here we go anyways.
I'm going to put your name into
the barn.
into my sophisticated AI robot. I call it Hawk 2A. It is a sophisticated Star
Hawk
Wars
2A.
robot.
I'm a little disappointed that it's not Hawk 2 AI.
Hello, I am Hawk 2A.
I am proficient in 4,000 spitting on cocks.
Well, let's see. Everybody needs to know in the future what kind of cute boy they'll be with, what kind of house they'll live in, and all kinds of other things. So I'm punching it into the AI here, and let's see what it spits out for you,
Yeah,
Luke.
who's my cute boy?
Luke, congratulations. Your partner's name is Timothy Chalamet. One of the cuter boys going in these days.
Cute boy.
You and Timothy Chalamet have
A complete unknown.
you have 12 children together. That's impressive. You,
What a fruitful womb. I'm
You-
glad I can
Luke, you found your dream job.
provide.
You are a storm
I
chaser.
don't know much about Timothy Chalamet.
Oh,
but I think
like
he
Glenn
wants lots of
Powell
children.
in Twisters?
Exactly. You're like Glenn Powell in Twisters or Helen Hunt in Twister. Every day you
Yes,
drive.
I suppose if I'm giving up all those babies.
Every day you drive to work
Must have childbearing hips.
in your dream car, which is the orange Batmobile. It is truly a wonderful life when you consider that.
Oh, it truly is a wonderful life. I got 12 kids here from Timothy Chalamet.
How big is the Batmobile's trunk? I gotta put my cum baskets.
Every
That's a
night,
pretty nice Batmobile, but can we paint it orange? Now my life is wonderful.
Oh, I can picture me driving down Main Street in an orange Batmobile.
not everybody's into black Batmobile. Batmobile was cool in the 1980s, but it's not that cool in 2024. Orange Batmobile is a way more cooler vehicle to drive it.
It's about as low key as any Batmobile is.
Yeah.
What Batmobile are we talking? Are we talking like the Batman Begins Tumbler? Are we talking
No,
the 60s
Adam
TV
West.
show
I like the Adam
Yeah,
West
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a convertible.
it's got fire coming out the back.
Yeah, that's the one I want.
It's got two separate compartments
it's like
for
me
you.
after eating a gordita.
Yeah. You and Timothy
The
Chalamet.
cock on one side and flame going out the back.
You are so lucky because you and your 12 children live with Timothy Chalamet in an apartment. That's pretty good. That could be worse.
That's pretty good.
I guess it could be worse.
Well,
yeah.
I think
I would
it-
hope it's a big apartment.
What do you think about your cute boy, Luke?
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet is pretty good, cute boy. You're lucky.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, you're
I
pretty
like
lucky.
Timothy Chalamet. I like him.
Vonn.
I think this Bob Dylan movie's gonna suck, but more on that later.
Vaughn, I'm going to put your information into my sophisticated artificial intelligence program. It's analyzed all your genetics and stuff.
That's why you wanted the DNA sample?
Yeah. I needed a semen, hair sample, saliva sample. I needed all the samples.
Why don't you just take a pair of my
Finding
underwear?
target.
The machine likes it. It's spitting out a 98% accurate prediction. That's what it told me. Vaughn,
Yes.
congratulations. Your partner is Austin Butler.
Ooh.
And you have 5 children.
As I like to call him, ass 10.
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Ass 10 out of 10. That's what I call it.
I call him that all the time.
And I
we're
know you don't
partners.
like it because that's your man, but I call him that sometimes.
How dare you?
Vaughn, in the future, you are a trapeze artist, and you drive to work every day in a green Lightning McQueen.
Wow. Where did I get this green paint job?
Looks pretty sharp. I look like my number one competitor.
That's pretty cool. That's way cooler than normal Lightning McQueen. Well, it's truly a wonderful life when you consider that you live with Austin Butler, but you live in a shack. You don't live in a nice apartment.
You
like
might
Luke.
find yourself living in a shotgun shack with Austin Butler.
Yeah.
You may ask yourself,
How did I get this Lightning McQueen? And why is it green?
It did a paint job.
Days go by.
Someone-
living with Austin Butler.
Someone did a wicked paint job on the Lightning McQueen to make it green.
Toad did a wicked paint job on your car, Senator.
Now, just for posterity, I'll punch my own future into this machine. Congratulations. My partner is Leonardo DiCaprio.
I think you're a little old
Yeah,
for
you're way
him.
too old for it.
Well, he's a classic cute boy, which the machine warned me of.
It's not going to be anything crazy sexual.
Warning. Classic cute boy.
He might not like you now.
I'm sure that it's nothing sexual. I like you two probably just like to go to
Yeah.
the farmer's market or something like that.
Oh, it's an open
He's got his
relationship.
never-ending string of young girlfriends. You're
Exactly.
the partner that he chose true intimacy with. right?
Yeah, well, I'm in the back. I watch I'm watching all kinds of movies in our dungeon that we have together. I'm in the high and low dungeon watching all kinds of movies while Leonardo DiCaprio is sleeping with all kinds of young ladies up above. We have 8 children together. 8 children. I am
Octuplets.
I am a big game hunter. I drive a purple Ecto one from Ghostbusters to work every day. Pretty cool. It's truly a wonderful life when I consider that I live in a mansion with Leonardo DiCaprio.
But
So-
you're just in the dungeon part of the mansion.
That's true, but at least it has a dungeon.
Do you get access to his private chef, or is it just a bucket of fish heads for you?
Does your apartment even have a dungeon? Does your shack have a dungeon?
I live in a shack. My shack is a dungeon.
I am far wealthier than you two in our
Wow.
future, so I think that's pretty good.
What a time to be alive.
I'm happy for you both.
So, anyways, I think we have had enough. This AI that I created to predict the future, I think we've discovered that it's nothing good for humanity. So I am entering self-destruct sequence in now. Beep, beep, and the AI is blowing up. Well,
What a segment.
that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing for the listeners.
What a segment!
I love it.
Well, when we come back, we're going to release the Epstein cell tapes.
Jesus Christ.
Wait a minute. We never discussed it.
All right. Well,
Blinka blinka, what year is it? 2024. What year is it? 2024.
oh, yeah.
We're doing favorite 2024 releases. Luke, I think you watched the most movies from 2024. Why don't you?
I stay pretty with it.
You're a man who likes to keep abreast of the latest trend.
I'm hip. I'm with it. Tucka, 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 tucka.
What are some of your favorite releases from this year?
Well, I watched like 48 movies released this year so far to date. Probably another dozen more before the year's out because all the good movies from all the big film festivals haven't all yet made their way here yet. I just watched Anora the other day. That's a movie that I've heard about for months, and now I finally got to see it.
I find a lot of the movies that I'm really interested in seeing from a year, I can't watch until
January, February. Yeah, award season. Yeah, they screen them at New York and Toronto and Cannes and all the big film festivals. And us country boy schlubs, we don't see them till later.
we don't get those types of movies out in the provinces here.
Nevertheless, I do watch a lot of movies, and I tend to avoid now. I'm not a real film critic. I tend to avoid the movies I know I'm not going to like. So I didn't bother watching Joker Folie à Deux. I didn't fucking like the first movie. Why would I watch the second one?
Yeah,
that no
I'm
one
not really
likes?
feeling like I'm going to watch that movie either because I didn't like the first one. I didn't like the tone.
I watched one superhero movie this year. I don't know if any more came out. I watched Deadpool v Wolverine. It was the worst movie I watched all year. I really fucking hated it. It's the only movie I watched this year that I hated. And I liked the first two okay.
That's only because you can't appreciate Wolverine's mustard brown colored costume.
Yeah, I didn't
from
watch-
issue number.
I didn't watch
128.
any superhero movies.
Well, the
from this
movie
year.
looked like fucking washed out dog shit. So I couldn't appreciate any of the colors in it.
Well, that's a reference to the Frank Miller era of the Wolverine comics.
Oh, now I get it. Oh, that's so cool. It's so funny and good. My favorite movies of the year so far were Evil Does Not Exist. Ryusuke Hamaguchi is the director's name. He did Drive My Car.
Awesome movie.
Awesome fucking movie. It's streaming on Criterion Channel right now.
I was going to watch that last night, and then I was just like, I have a feeling that this could be like a heavy-ish movie, and I feel like I'm just going to watch a Shaw Brothers.
It's-
Wuxia.
I'll say it's a very easy movie to sit down and get into.
Yeah.
I won't
okay.
say if maybe the ending's a little bit heavy and
The whole
takes
movie-
you by surprise, kind of, but
It's tranquil and soft, like Drive My
okay.
Car, where sure it's heavy, but it's just so easy to just put on
It's
and let
accessible.
it wash
Yeah.
over you because it looks great and it's compelling. You spend like 5 minutes watching a guy chop wood, and it's not boring at all,
it's as
Yeah.
fun as chopping wood,
which I love.
which is like one of the best things,
Yeah.
I'm a big chopper.
right, William?
Yeah.
Caleb, winter's coming. How come the wood stock is so low? I'll do it. No, I'll chop the wood.
Father, if you continue to chop so much wood, you'll get sweat stains on your breeches.
Thomason,
I'll need to
remove
wash
mine
your
breeches.
Are thou looking down mine frock?
Thomason, do up thine frock. Caleb, avert thine eyes.
Boy in the Hair On, I think that counts as a 2023 release. That was one of my favorites. Furiosa. Nobody fucking saw that movie. It rules.
I still haven't seen it.
It's
Me
so
either.
fucking fun, dude.
I know.
And I love Mad Max. There's no reason for me
George
not to
Miller
have seen
doesn't
it.
miss. I don't know if I've disliked any of his movies.
He's
Yeah.
been on a roll lately. It fucking kicks ass. Another movie I loved was Love Lies Bleeding. It's horny as hell. It's fucking pulpy. It's genre. It's crazy. It's sexy.
That one was straight down the middle for me. It didn't really move the needle either way.
Fantastic movie, in my opinion. Twilight of the Warriors, Walled In. I just watched a Hong Kong movie about the Kowloon walled city in Hong Kong. It's like a full-on Hong Kong old-school blockbuster. It's so much fun. It has a great story. It has fucking Sammo Hung and a bunch of fucking Hong Kong legends throwing down in like the grittiest street drama you can imagine. It's like a James Cameron movie from the 80s. It's fucking sweet.
That movie was playing when I went to the local movie store the other day, and it looked awesome.
It's sick.
Good to know there's some good stuff coming from the Hong Kong scenes.
Here's another movie that's like independent and it's taken forever to find any kind of wide release, but Hundreds of Beavers
Yeah.
is a really
Oh,
fun
yeah.
I've
movie.
seen half of it. It's really good.
It's basically like live action Looney Tunes done with all practical effects on zero budget, but it looks incredible.
Interesting.
Exuma, a Korean drama about grave. What are they?
It's like a feng shui for the funeral services, where basically they find the most ideal place to bury people, where all of the energies are correct, they're pointing in the right direction, and it gives their spirit the best chance to have a peaceful afterlife.
Yeah,
I
so
watched
there's
this
a
movie too, and
fam-
I really liked it.
There's a family that has this curse, and it's presumably because one of their ancestors wasn't buried correctly or with proper feng shui. And then we find out there's more going on there.
A
but
lot
they have
more
some
going on.
insane rituals and shit.
The rituals are cool, and the twists and turns. This is a movie that surprised me like 3 or 4 times, just with, you think the movie's going in a certain way, and then it takes a complete left turn out of nowhere, and you're so in for it. You're there for the ride.
Yeah, that's Exuma. That was one of the biggest hits in Korea of all time, I think.
Oh.
It's got the star from Old Boy in it. And I know people love Korean stuff. If you can see this movie, I think you'll really like it. If you like Squid Game or Old Boy or any kind of Korean shit from recent years, you'll love it.
It's got some great horror
Parasite,
sequences in it. Some unsettling stuff
It
goes on.
is so important to bury bodies the right way. That's why when I go, you guys have to give me a sky burial. That's where you put me on a shelf, and then the vultures pick away at me.
I thought we were just going to toss you out of a plane like we discussed.
Well, yeah, that counts. That's a sky burial. Buried at sky.
I got like 3 more movies I really want to mention because it has been a great year for movies. Strange Darling was really fucking great. What's her name? Willa Fitzgerald, one of the best performances of the year. This is a really twisty, turny, told out of chronological order thriller. It's basically like 4 people are in it, and you don't know what the fuck's going on. I saw the TV Glow talk about women directors. This one's directed by a trans woman director, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, this is
That
a trans
one's got
story.
quite a bit of buzz on like the horror subreddit.
I just noticed that one pop up on Prime, or probably Prime. I don't think it's on Crave.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call this one a horror. I'd say it's more of like a I don't know, coming of age drama.
I find glowing things to be generally horrific, so I'll lump it into horror preemptively.
It looks like every
So, like, a
moment of my
Stranger
childhood.
Things kind of thing.
It's a fantastic movie. Juror number 2, Clint Eastwood's new one, was really fun. Terrifier 3 was really fun. And another one nobody saw, Mads, a French movie.
Oh, I've got that one downloaded. Yeah.
Oh, you'll
on
like
your
that one.
recommendation.
Yeah.
I want to check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of a continuous shot zombie invasion movie, but
Sweet.
it's done very creatively. The Apprentice was also really good.
Right on. Mitch, you get into any new releases this year?
I haven't watched too many new releases. There was a couple fun theater experiences. We all saw Alien Romulus together. That was a decent one. That was an okay Aliens sequel.
Great theater experience.
Yeah.
That movie has some spectacle.
Hated the AI Ian Holm.
100%. That movie,
Yeah.
it took me out of it entirely.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Otherwise, enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Pretty much
big
aside from
movie.
that, I think it's a solid entry to the franchise. There's a couple
That was
things that
pretty
really...
unnecessary. Yeah, that was pretty decent theater experience. Dune 2. I feel like these Dune movies are probably like the theater experience for the last couple of years. You know, like not our generation, but the Gen Z. Maybe this will be like their defining theater experience. These Dune movies. You know,
Is this their pirates? Their Lord
this
of
is
the Rings?
their pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
yeah.
it's Denis Villeneuve
Star
movies.
Wars.
They're
Yeah.
big scale. They look great. They get some bums in seats, especially
Yeah.
the Dune movies. I don't think Blade Runner.
I'm glad they're
did
doing
too
okay.
much.
Blade Runner didn't even barely break even,
Yeah.
sadly, which
Yeah.
I think is maybe even better than those Dune movies.
Yeah, we did Reagan for the podcast, which
That's got to be on the list.
I think we all agree is like the best comedy
Well,
of the
I-
year.
I
thought
have
you were
this-
going to keep me off the list.
Yeah, I have Reagan at a shockingly. It's like my number 32 favorite film of the year. I have it above The Substance and just below Longlegs. Two movies I like.
Yeah, there's a lot of like
Two movies a lot of people like.
I gotta
a
say,
lot.
people that I know don't like Reagan as much as we do, and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm trying as hard
If
as
you
I
don't
can.
have the right mindset for watching that movie, like if you're not taking it as a comedy, I could see you not liking it. But I will give a credit to The Substance though for trailer. It's one of the best trailers I've seen in years. I watched that The Substance trailer on YouTube so many times, and I was like, this is like a.
But you haven't seen the movie yet?
I haven't seen the
It's
movie
just in
yet.
2 movies. He just does trailers.
I was like, the trailer is a lost art form to a certain extent. I was really impressed.
I'll tell you the sound design in that movie.
Reagan?
No, in Substance. Because I saw it in the theater. Man, it like broke our fucking eardrums. And Dennis Quaid's in it too, and he's
Interesting.
super funny in it. He
a good
has
actor.
two
Yeah.
of my favorite performances of the year. Dennis Quaid.
He's good.
Kind of looking like Reagan.
It's a bit of a...
He's yeah, except
It's a
he's meant
quaidasance.
to be horrific.
We're having a bit of a quaidasance
Total
right now.
quaidasance. But he's meant to be horrific in The Substance, which he is. And he's like loudly eating prawns. And my God, the final third act of that movie is meant to be as disgusting and depraved,
Like
and
society
shocking as-
type of deal.
Yeah,
I've heard
Yeah.
it's insane body horror.
yeah,
Where
It-
it just goes way off the rails. and-
completely over the top as far as it can go, and then some. And like, but the most disgusting thing is Dennis Quaid eating fucking prawns. I'll tell you right now. To me,
Yeah. Exactly. Melt me down in a genetic pool somewhere. That's fine.
just turn me into a pile of goo.
I don't want to listen to that man eat seafood.
Well, a couple of mine have already been named, so I'll name a couple more. And I got a couple kids, so the new releases I'm seeing do skew a little childish. So first off was The Wild Robot. I really love that movie. It had stunning animation. It was touching. It just hits on all of these hallmark, pretty cheesy messages like accept others, accept those who are different. You can learn to change, things like that.
except the robots.
Yeah, I didn't really have too much of a problem with the fact that it was a robot.
I did.
It was a wild robot. I know. I saw your Letterboxd review. It just hit me in all the right ways.
It's an undeniably good movie. It's one of the better kids movies. It's by far the best DreamWorks movie.
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind checking out the book because it's based on a children's book. It's really imaginative.
That's why it's so dangerous as a propaganda piece for priming children to accept robot parents. It can't be allowed to survive.
Yeah, it feels a little bit insidious to me.
If you got kids, they'll like Wild Robot.
Yeah.
They'll become best friends with your Roomba.
Better than Wheelie or worse?
Oh, much better than Wheelie. I wouldn't ever put my Wheelie on for my son.
No, Wheelie's atrocious. Another movie I liked was Inside Out 2. I thought it was as good as the first one, just solid Pixar offering. They introduce some new characters. They kind of throw a spanner into the works, as they say in jolly old England. And these the old standard emotions need to figure out how to deal. Bill Hader, unfortunately, doesn't return. According to the Wikipedia article, him and Mindy Kaling.
Oh, okay.
Him and Mindy Kaling got off like big time lowball offers and nowhere near as much as what the top billed actors were getting. So
Mindy fucking Kaling. I had like 3 hit shows.
yeah,
She had some drama over the last couple of years because she was involved with that Scooby-Doo.
and they were like, Scooby, don't.
Yeah,
Scooby, could you not?
Scooby, no, thank you. I don't like it. I don't care for it.
What was it? Okay, because I feel like she was getting criticism from the left. She was saying some
yeah.
stuff that was like not woke or something, or liberals were mad at her. But then also she made like a diverse Scooby-Doo or something. So like all these fucking virgins are like,
I don't like it when
my Scooby-Doo. All
Velma's
of the
not
high and low
brown.
listeners are like,
Just
fuck that. Yeah.
just like a PSA, not everything that a famous person does or says is a political statement. Sometimes they just want to make a fucking Scooby-Doo movie and maybe people could just sit down and watch some fucking cartoons solve a mystery.
Oh.
I haven't watched it. I have no opinion on it because I'm a grown-up. I don't fucking watch Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. These movies are on my list because I have kids and we go see movies sometimes.
Exactly.
Last movie I got is a pretty fun little action romper from Germany called 60 Minutes. It's about an MMA fighter who has to bare-knuckle box his way across Berlin in 60 minutes. Otherwise, he's going to lose custody of his son. But it's got some fun, creative action sequences. It's intense. I love those movies where you have the clock, where basically you need to... There's lots of clocks and lots of maps where it's like, it shows him on his route to get to where he's got to go. And it's like, 58 minutes left.
I like having to get out a pen and paper and...
It's like, I'll be the judge of if this movie's in real time or not.
Well, it's tight. And the guy's he looks good doing his martial arts. There's some solid martial arts sequences.
Sick.
Not an amazing movie, but definitely a fun action romp. So check it out. I think it's on Netflix.
That's it for our favorite movies of 2024. Coming up next, we're going to do an in memoriam reel ranked by fuckability.
Wow.
Should we play one more quick round of Celebrity Hunt?
Yes.
Yeah. Mitch,
Now
why don't
that
you
I
start
know
us
the
off?
strategy.
What's the strategy? Always keep it on
Don't
end.
suck.
Trying to think of any celebrities named Xavier.
I don't think you guys could ever stump me at this game.
No, probably not. It would take years of practice.
Red Fox. Hunt.
Oh, I'm so stumped. I'm so fucked.
Yeah. Shit.
Gee. Isn't there that one guy?
There's got to be like an actor who just thought he was cool and he was
Isn't
like,
there
my
a-
name is X.
Isn't there a singer? I love X. It's so cool.
Elon Musk.
It's the everything app.
It does everything. It goes to space.
I'm so glad he's running the country.
Yeah,
Well, he's running our country soon enough when we become the 51st state.
Yeah.
We're not already the 51st state?
It's not an official oligarchy yet. Soon.
We'll see if
Soon.
Trudeau has his way.
That guy can't govern.
He can't
keep his house in order.
His house is all over the place.
One more real game of Celebrity Hunt.
All right.
God damn it! I gotta do better. I gotta come up with a celebrity named X. Xavier Rudd, wasn't that a singer?
He was. I think he played a didgeridoo.
Oh.
Or maybe he was just Australian and he had didgeridoo in his music.
Man, he's got a man. I'm just googled him. He's got a man bun and a beard. He looks like the most Australian guy ever. He's got playing an acoustic guitar with his shirt off. Just a nightmare to have at a party, and he's fucking your girlfriend.
Yeah, and
would
the amount of
not.
sand he's pulled out of his ass crack after fucking your girlfriend on the beach all night.
Yeah.
Look at his bright blue eyes.
He's
Fuck
like
this guy. He's like me times 10. He's so much more handsome and talented. than
Isn't
I
it
am.
funny when you do see somebody who's like obviously better than you in every way? It's like, oh, fuck
Fuck
that
him.
guy.
You know what?
Look at his abs.
But then you meet him and he's probably the sweetest person in the world and you can't even stay
makes
mad at
it
him.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, no chip on his shoulder at all.
That's why.
I know. Nothing bad ever
Hey, it's
happened,
really
Mike.
nice to meet you, mate. I'm just going to go fuck your girlfriend now.
Man,
Oh, cool. Okay, cool, man. See you later.
Oh,
That-
she likes
that's-
it when you tickle her toes, just an FYI. Have fun, man.
that's why Cain killed Abel. That's why, even a Chad like him is not resilient to a sock full of rocks.
Hey, I have bad days too. I only fucked 3 people's girlfriends yesterday.
Just drop my sock.
Got me pretty down in the gutter.
Xavier Rudd. Hunt.
Daniel Craig.
Hunt.
Gerard Depardieu.
Hunt.
Not so easy.
I don't even know what his name ends with.
You.
Damn.
And here I talk such big game.
That's a tough one. Wow.
You really fucked me again, motherfucker.
I can't think of any you guys.
Uma Thurman.
Oh,
Hunt. Taking an N.
Nathan Lane. Hunt.
Elliot Gould.
Hunt. Davi. Robert Davi. No, Donald Trump. Hunt.
Hunt. Paul Newman. Hunt.
God, what the fucking ends? Kneel before
Who's playing
Zod.
Lex Luthor in the new Superman movie? From Juror number 2. Mad Max Fury Road.
I can't think of his first name, but I can only remember his last name.
Ned Kelly.
Hunt.
You remember everybody's favorite Australian outlaw.
Yulbert. Oh, he's already been said.
Yeah. Not too many Y's.
Yolanda.
Any Vonns.
Why you gotta keep giving me U's, Y's, X's? Yao Ming.
Oh,
Hunt.
Oh, Hunt. Grant Morrison.
Who's that?
He's a writer, a comics writer.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Sure he is. Hunt.
Nicole Kidman.
Hunt. Nicholas Holt.
Oh yeah.
Hunt.
Hunt. Terrence Stamp.
Hunt.
Pedro Pascal.
Hunt.
Hunt.
Luke Perry. Hunt.
Wise, eh?
Yeah.
Got your ass.
Damn. I feel like there must be like a dozen Yvonnes out there, but I can't think of any.
Maybe some rappers.
My beautiful daughter Ivanka.
Young Buck.
Oh.
Is that a rapper? Hunt.
Young Buck, we don't give a... Yeah, 3-6 Mafia.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Katie Holmes.
Hunt.
Hunt.
Stephen Wright.
Hunt. Telly Savalas.
Hunt. Sydney Sweeney. I don't know why.
Yoko Ono.
Oh.
Hunt. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Orenthal Jason. Goddamn O's. Ren Ishii. Fuck, that was the character in Kill Bill. I can't think of any O's.
Allow me to demonstrate the skill of Shaolin, the special technique of shadow boxing.
Poisonous. Slap all y'all niggas for coming in my fucking face with that shit. Poisonous. Poisonous paragraph, smash your phonograph in half and read the Inspector Deck on the warpath. First class, leave the mics with a
Wow.
cast.
Bunch of queer cinema.
Lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transsexuals, and queers.
Plus,
And plus other kinds of things.
Two-spirit, asexual.
They-
What are all the other ones?
They are such...
Let's rattle off all
Granny
the different
shaggers. That's me.
Yeah, Granny Shagger,
heavy
young
hanger hitmen. Those are the guys who
Shagger.
only go after the big knockers.
Yeah. Yeah, you got your leather freaks, your
Sugar daddies.
your big daddies, your
We had all of our profound thoughts about this off mic.
I will note that
Everybody say what you just said a minute ago. All those sensitive and interesting things you had to say about queer cinema.
I am indicating
It wasn't even queer cinema. It was just we were
Queer
talking about
critics.
our appreciation of the queer perspective in movie critiques.
Yes.
and then immediately as soon as you say LGBTQ as not an acronym, when you just say it as like lesbian, bisexual, gays,
That's how I always say it.
transsexual. It just doesn't have the same vibe anymore. You're all gay out there. You're all putting your penises on other penises and vaginas on other vaginas. And we love movies that are about that.
Exclusively.
Or not. Or maybe you're asexual.
Or maybe you do all kinds of weird stuff. Who knows?
Or you're trans and you're straight.
Could be non-binary.
That's right.
I don't know. Is straight even a good term?
Yeah.
I think it's fallen out of fashion. Cis is the more
cis
straight
is
ahead.
your gender.
Is it gender? Oh,
Yeah.
heterosexual.
are
Yeah.
a dinosaur and so regressive.
Yeah.
You are kicked
Cancel
out of,
this man.
kicked out of the podcast.
You can't you cancel me. I'm going to cancel you right back. I have hours and hours of candid footage.
Well, we're all canceled. It's mutually assured destruction. Lesbian.
Yeah, Mitchell's blackface hour. We have the tapes.
That's what I always heard about political power. Is that like these like
It's pales
Yeah.
compared to blackface power.
your Hoovers. Hoover will get in like a gay sex tape with like a FDR, and then all of a sudden they're in like this butt buddy agreement, and they can fuck
Dude,
over the.
could you fucking
I don't
imagine?
think butt buddy is a preferred term.
Could you imagine Hoover, FDR, Marge Simpson, Lois Griffin?
Fuck, marry, kill.
Just all of them going at it.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow! I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
Fuck, marry, kill, make, watch. All three.
Anyway, LGBTQ cinema, it's not all about sex. Grow up, everybody.
Can we take LGBTQ cinema and just kind
Yeah.
of talk about it in the way they would if they were introducing an Academy Awards?
Well, you know,
The wickedly talented.
We all exist on a spectrum. It takes
Yeah.
courage for I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I'm the ideas man.
lesbian, gay, bisexual.
Here are some movies that made us second guess some things that we always thought we knew about each other. No.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
right.
Luke, you were being serious.
No, I was not at all.
How
We're
dare
talking
you?
about lesbians.
How dare you accuse me of being serious?
I'm just trying to figure out how to steer this out of the ditch.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those interesting things with LGBTQ cinema where you're like, does a movie that has a gay person in it, that's not an LGBTQ movie. It's like a movie that has like kind of substantial themes or like
Well, so actually, this whole category got lumped in because as we were going through movies we watched in the past year, or not even movies we watched, just movies we've done on the podcast, we discovered that by and large, we've done aggressively kind of straight or non-LGBTQ movies, but
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily reflect the movies that we watch. So we thought it would be a fun talk or an interesting talking point to discuss some LGBTQ movies that we do watch when we're not trying to make with the
Yeah.
yuck-yucks on the main
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I mean, I already mentioned Love Lies Bleeding, but if you're a lesbian, you will really love this movie.
or if you like muscle
were
women.
you burping or did you mean to say lesbian?
That's how I say it.
No shame.
If you like, if you're like a gay guy, like, every once in a while on Twitter, they'll post like a picture of a beautiful woman, but she has abs. And it's like, if you like this woman, you're gay. If you're a gay guy like that, you're going to love this movie.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think that's just something that right-wing nut jobs make up.
I'm a proud gay man, and I love a woman's oiled abdomen.
me too. When I see Katie O'Malley or whatever
Yeah.
her name is,
Dude, when she's busting out, she's sleeping under a bridge and she starts busting out pull-ups when she wakes up.
Nothing makes me prouder to be
I'm coming.
homosexual.
when I go to work, I'm coming. When I'm recording the podcast, I'm
I watch the
coming.
movie, I'm
Watching
coming.
Love Lies the Bleeding, I'm coming, and the police are taking me, they're escorting me out of the theater.
I'm coming
because
in
I have my
front of
Johnson hanging out.
The high and low
There's
crew.
that. I'm sure some of our listeners were aware of that guy who went viral. Someone took a picture of this guy on Twitter who was at a screening of Love Lies Bleeding. He had his cock out of his pants. He passed out fucking gooning to this movie.
He's got like
And on
empty
the table
liquor
next to
bottles.
there's like lines of Coke next to him.
Yeah.
There's like an empty bottle of Fireball whiskey.
Yeah.
Man.
Like a joint.
I don't know.
Vape.
So it's also worth pointing out that from the movie theaters that we see around here, that looks like it's a VIP cinema. It's not
Yeah.
just your standard cinema. He's got his own little side table. He's got his big recliner chair. This guy paid money to go
you know?
jerk off in public.
And I was like, what a sick fuck. And then I saw the movie and I was like, I get it.
I understand. Yeah.
Just lucky I didn't see it in a theater.
God bless him. I guess Challengers maybe had some kind of queer adjacent content in it. That was a great movie.
Is that the one with Channing Tatum?
No, that's the one with Zendaya and the
okay.
two guys,
the
and it's
tennis-
kind of a love
yeah.
triangle. And the aforementioned I Saw the TV Glow, which is definitely a trans allegory, if not just outright just being a movie about being trans. But excellent movies coming from queer filmmakers with queer perspectives. I mean, obviously on the podcast, I don't know what we've covered that's queer besides Speed Racer and Female Trouble.
Yeah, and even Speed Racer, like it's directed by two trans women, but the overall content, I don't know, like there's probably is a queer reading to it, but
I'm sure there's a trans person out there who could tell us why that movie is about being trans.
yeah.
I mean, The
Racer
Matrix
is
is
trans.
widely accepted now as a trans allegory.
Totally.
Even though it's been co-opted by right-wing shitheads who are like, we take the red pill, which means we hate women. No, dipshit, you can't use that.
That's the interesting thing about any media that like features an out group or something, is that it can be related to by gay people. Look at the X-Men.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a story about gay people, but it's a story about a group who's on the outs who is being bigoted against.
It is and it isn't.
Yeah, you can
mean-
easily any gay person could easily
Yeah.
relate to that story.
We did cover Wizard of Oz too, which is famously one of the most gay
Yeah.
movies of all time. Friends of Dorothy and all that, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's no gay content in it.
No, it's just been something that's been adopted by the community.
Which is that was the only avenue kind of available for a long time, was you had to get these little side routes of gay recognition or whatever.
So I'll say, as a rule, I don't really go out and pursue LGBTQ cinema.
As a rule, you're against it.
I mostly pick movies based on other criteria, but what I've noticed is that it's just a lot easier to find these types of movies these days.
The woke agenda.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They're force feeding gay stuff down our throats.
They're turning the movie viewers gay.
I think it's even in those Marvel movies now.
I saw two women.
I think in the
Almost
DC
touch
universe
hands.
too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Didn't
just-
that Harley Quinn movie have some gay people in it?
Yeah.
Well, to that point, it's just a lot easier to just passively ingest this type of stuff. So even if you're not looking for it, you can still see it. And guess what?
It's true. They are brainwashing our kids.
There's good shit and there's bad shit.
The war against Christmas.
It's real.
It's in
We'll
full
win it
swing.
yet.
I watched some gay people in the movies this year. In Kamikaze Hearts, a short film on the Criterion Collection. It's kind of a pseudo documentary. It's about these lesbian, or what's the word for someone who's attracted to everything? Pansexual people who are working in the porn industry, and it's like a pseudo documentary because these actors that are in it are actual porn workers and like sex workers and stuff, but they're playing it up a little bit. They're like creating a narrative, but it's very interesting. They're all like drug addicts, heroin addicts. It's one of those like alternative lifestyle movies that's just very fascinating to glimpse in on, and I think it's a very straight across the board LGBTQ movie. There's like all the characters in it are lesbian, pretty much, etc.
What's that title one more time?
Kamikaze Hearts.
Nice.
Yeah, it's on the Criterion Collection. Another one, I think it came out in 2023, was Bottoms. It's got Ayo Edebiri, Rachel Sennott. She's been in a few things recently. She's kind of making a name for herself.
Love
but-
Io. Love Rachel Sennott.
Yeah, they're super likable
I
people.
really like-
Both very funny.
Yeah,
Shiva Baby just made me incredibly uncomfortable the whole time and stressed out.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel Sennett's in that.
Yeah, that movie was super funny.
And Bottoms is basically like a sex comedy, like any teen comedy you would watch where they're trying to lose their virginity. It's relatable to any teenager, you know, like you can relate to these lesbians.
Yeah, I like that movie.
And then Dix the Musical is not like I don't know if it's firing its flare gun up in the air as an LGBTQ movie. It's a musical.
It has Nathan Lane.
It's got
in
Nathan
it for crying out
Lane.
loud.
Yeah, it's the two protagonists
gotta
are
be
gay, and
It was Larry Charles did that, right?
Is he involved in that? I'm not sure. I wasn't sure.
I
but-
think he's the director of Maston Anonymous.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
did
sure.
I did not realize that connection. If that's the case, it's fun.
Always got to point out the high and low connection.
It's just a fun comedy
Yeah, this
musical with lots of swear words and gross sewer monsters. But yeah, those are all the gay stuff I watched this year.
All of it, Mitch.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know if I watched any outright LGBTQ movies this year, but I definitely did watch ones that have that reading. Beau Travail.
Beau Travail.
Oh yeah.
Beau Travail. I really like that
Wow.
movie.
Claire Denis.
Claire
What was that,
Denis.
1980.
I think 1999.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a really, really cool movie. It's just a bunch of... It's not outright homosexual, but it's definitely homoerotic. It's a bunch of shirtless
If you like
20-something-year-olds.
watching dudes work out for 90 minutes.
They're just like training in... Where are they? Not Tanzania.
It's a French movie, right?
It's a French
Yeah,
movie.
they're in Africa,
They're in
though, right?
Africa. They're in like imperial presence
few
in an
years since I
African
saw it.
country, and they're just training, and they're just like they're hot and sweaty and like wrestling each other.
rippling muscles.
Yeah,
and
and
It's
sweat.
definitely a female gaze on male bodies.
Big time.
movie.
The movie is a lot. It's very interested in how the male body moves and looks. But
It's based on a Herman Melville book called Billy Budd, which is about a sailor. From 1888, this book was released. It's supposed to have homosexual undertones, which is why it's like people still study it in school and stuff. There was actually a Sopranos plot about this where AJ is
I'm
reading.
sure they handled it with all the
Oh
sensitivity
yeah,
it deserves.
oh yeah. AJ is reading the book for class, and
the fuck
then
are you reading? What is this?
yeah, Meadow brings up the homosexual reading
What,
into,
the queer
into the
stuff?
book, and Tony's like, Carmela's like, no, it's not about being gay. It's about a sailor. He loves sailing on a boat. It's not about homosexuality. Like
Sailors aren't gay.
she just can't read the subtext of Billy Budd at all, and classic.
Yeah, I liked it. It has great vistas. It really takes in the scenery of everything that's going on, and throughout the whole movie, there's just so much that's left unsaid and buried deep down. It's tense throughout. Then in the ending, all of that is just released, and one of the most memorable endings in any movie I've ever seen. It left an impression on me. It's like 90 minutes. It's a little homeworky, but it's definitely worth your time, I think. It's worth taking time to sit down and marinate with. Another one, I love this movie. Again, I don't really know if it's queer cinema or not, but Mulholland Drive, there is like...
It's queer elements for sure.
Definitely, and there's a bunch of stuff going on. I finitely got around to seeing it. I
I like
watched it
watching
twice.
a couple of babes make out. Am I right, guys?
Naomi
My
Watts.
favorite.
It's I don't really
Yo,
know.
would it be sick if those two chicks just kiss right now?
Yeah, man. French.
I've been waiting for these broads to bang.
Imagine if they did heavy French on each other. That would be good.
So
Yeah.
go on with your Mulholland Drive. Sorry.
No, I don't know. If,
It's
I don't
only
think
one
it
of the
really
great
fits
movies ever made.
I knowing that going in, it still blew my hair back. I'm still unpacking it. Yeah. We talked about Bottoms. I thought that movie was charming and fun. I love how we're at the point these days where you can have a movie that has two lesbians leading it in the movie, and it's just a movie. Like that's not
It's
not the
pretty-
point.
it's-
It's not the
yeah.
punchline. It's just that is who they are, and the story just follows them. And we're kind
Yeah,
of
they're
at the
not
point.
making cheap jokes of it like we are.
No.
Exactly, yeah.
It's sort of a straight up teen comedy where everyone happens to be lesbian. You know?
That's
Yeah.
what it should be. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's-
exactly.
The movie's like super bad. It's not about. I mean, it is about that they're boys trying to score with girls, but
yeah.
it's not about
Horny teenagers.
what a fucking trial it is for them to be boys trying to score with girls.
Yeah,
and this is
it's-
where like
no.
queer movies have come a long way.
It's
since-
it's very
since, like-
relatable actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Brokeback Mountain is still kind of one of my favorite movies ever, but it's the perfect archetype of that queer movie where it's being gay is necessarily
Yes.
a trial.
Letting it out in public is a life or death choice.
Yes, and if it happens, it's all drama. It's all horror. You have to hide it, and you'll get killed if you don't. And
Yeah.
you like. It's good that we're moving past that.
Yeah, exactly.
Last one I got is Behind the Candelabra.
Good movie, dude.
Yeah, it's about Liberace taking on Amuse. It's Matt Damon and Michael
Douglas.
Douglas.
Man.
Michael Douglas is Liberace, and
Rob Lowe in a supporting turn.
Rob Lowe
Hilarious.
is unbelievable in that movie.
He's so fucking good.
He's Liberace's
guy's got
lover.
insane comedy chops.
He's his plastic surgeon. He's the guy who's just like
okay.
stretched out like a freak.
You've seen Brazil. It's like
Yeah.
his face is like what they look like when they get their faces stretched out. He's just some weird cobbled together monster, and he's
But
got such great comedy
Michael
chops.
Douglas is magnificent
Yes,
in that
he's
movie.
Terrific, yeah.
Maybe my favorite Douglas performance. He is so good.
It is kind of funny where you get like a mid-40s or whatever Matt Damon playing a supposed hot 20-something-year-old.
Yeah.
He still looks young enough next to Michael
He's a hot
Douglas.
boy.
Yeah, good point.
But like Liberace, this is somebody from pop culture who totally passed us by. I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys. I had no cultural awareness of him whatsoever.
Pretty much the first time I heard his name is that throwaway Austin Powers joke where it's like, I can't believe Liberace was gay.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much my exposure
Pretty much
to him.
me too.
But the
Don't be
ladies
such a
loved Liberace. The ladies were so into Liberace, and Liberace would say all kinds of cool quips. He would say things like, would you prefer flowers on your piano or tulips on your organ? And nobody could ever suss out that he was gay, though, because he was too, subtle.
So that's it for queer cinema. When we come back, we're going to list our top 5 favorite new pejoratives.
I could while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. And my head I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain. I'd unravel every riddle for any individual in trouble or in pain.
With the thoughts you'd be thinking you could be another Lincoln if you only had a brain.
Now we're going to talk about some horror movies. You all like to be scared. You like to be spine tingled.
Yeah, what gets your spine tingling?
What scares you,
Well,
Mitch?
you know what? This was actually a weird year for me because I didn't watch that many horror movies.
didn't?
I didn't. But it's kind of strange because horror has always been my gateway drug into the kind of wider world of cinema because those were my first entries where I started seeing these Italian movies and weird movies like that were not the mainstream movies. And I was always drawn to the giallo horror movies and stuff. So this is kind of a weird outlier year because I didn't watch that many horror movies, whereas that has always been my into the larger cinematic universe, generally speaking. But this year was one of the first years where I took that broader step out into the world and watched.
I needed in here.
I watched The Haunting from the 1960s, a classic movie. But speaking of LGBTQ movies, there is a light whiff of lesbian relationship in that movie, which makes it a little bit scandalous. A little
Get
bit
a whiff of
scandalous.
that.
You can get a whiff. Cat People I watched. Very interesting movie. Another classic, Universal era kind of horror movie. A weird horror.
Yes, I love that movie. And the Paul Schrader movie. Have you seen the remake?
I have not. No. And there's sequels to this one too that I haven't seen too from the 50s.
Which one?
Cat People.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Cat People.
Yeah, they did the remake from the 80s.
Yeah, that's the Paul Schrader one with Natasha Kinski.
Yeah.
I've seen the original and I've seen the...
I've only seen the original, but very
They're
interesting.
both great.
One great thing about Cat People is that it has a psychologist from before they had invented ethics. So there's this psychologist who is just let me examine your bosoms. And he's just you know what? You're going to stay in my living room for a week. You know, I'm going to feed you. And
You telling me that's unethical?
Sleep in my bed. And the only way I'll be able to treat you is if you sleep in my bed. Otherwise, I don't know your sleep patterns. And I am a psychologist from the 1950s. And I just want to molest you. So that's what I loved about that movie.
That's what I love.
I watched some very classic old school movies this year. I watched The Phantom Carriage from 1921, and it had a very cool soundtrack that was recorded in 2007. Very ambient, very creepy. It's very fun to watch these old silent horror movies with a modern, creepy ambient soundtrack. It's just a unique and
Where did
fun
you watch
experience.
that one?
That's on Criterion. Yeah, they've got that on Criterion with
They have a new
They have the newer soundtrack, and I think they have the older soundtrack, and I watch like the newer version.
I've gotten into putting my own soundtracks to silent movies lately.
Yeah, that would be fun. I haven't experimented with that, but it's easy to see how you could like throw some like creepy ambient music behind almost any silent movie and have it be like kind of visceral and interesting.
I've
Or
gotten
if
to
it's
just
a
like
comedy. I mean,
I'll just put movies on mute and I'll just add my own words. I'll just make it all up as I go along.
what's the Blake Lively movie?
It ends with us.
Oh, I'm watching It Ends With Us. Oh, I'm Blake Lively. Oh, my God. Oh. That's Vonn sitting in his basement.
Did it end with him? No, it ended with us. Then other than that, just like the normal spattering of giallo movies, slasher movies, gothic horror movies. I watched a number of like Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing joints
Splatters.
this year, that kind of thing.
And you featured on a podcast, too,
Yes,
right?
you did. Tell us all
Yeah.
about it.
I was on the Graveyard Shift podcast for their January Lee event where they watch all Christopher Lee movies for January.
Luke, you have any horror movies you want to chime in on?
I watched Street Trash. That was pretty fun. It's basically about a bunch of hobos who drink some alcohol that turns them into sludge. It's exactly what the title sounds like. It's a bunch of street people raping and killing each other and drinking booze and sharing needles and hookers and killing each other.
I did.
It's really high cinema.
I cannot support sharing needles.
Yeah, it's directed by Yasujiro Ozu. It's from 1954.
It's a very soft movie.
It's about the pastoral
Contemplative.
life of
No, another notable horror movie I watched for the first time this year was The Entity, which was on the Criterion Channel, directed by Sidney J. Fury, starring Barbara Hershey.
Nice.
That's about a rape ghost, right?
Yeah, and it's a true story about this woman who was pestered by this ghost who kept sexually assaulting her. This sounds cheesy and tacky, but it's not. This movie is
Yeah.
played quite seriously. It has amazing effects. It has an incredible performance by Barbara Hershey in the lead. I don't know. That's just too off the dome.
Yeah, I watched a fair amount of horror, as I do. I kind of binge it in October. We did a bunch for this podcast, which I won't go into. You should just go listen to those episodes to hear
listen
our
to our
thoughts.
Spooktober.
So I got one that I really enjoyed called Little Monsters. Came out in 2019. It's an Australian movie starring Lupita Nyong'o. Really, it's
Oh, did I see that?
it's not a perfect movie, but it's fun. It's fun, and it's good to see Lupita do some stuff that's not quite so heavy, and it's just good to see her flex those chops, those comedic chops, which she has plenty of.
Yeah, I mean, most recently I've seen her in Quiet Place Day One.
Yeah.
Which was okay this year.
Yeah, so it's fun. It starts off really strong. It's got, like I said, Lupita, she's great.
Josh
in it.
Gad, everybody loves him.
He is hilarious in it because Frozen is such a mainstay in my house for the past couple of years here. So he does Olaf the snowman in Frozen, and he's just a sexually depraved asshole in this and just kind of playing into that. So I definitely enjoed him in that
Much
year.
like Olaf.
Much like Olaf.
What's he doing with
That
those little
freaky little
girls?
snowman. Where's he putting that carrot?
I
Lupita Nyong'o is a kindergarten teacher, and she while on a field trip with Alexander England, who is trying to get in her pants, there is a full-blown zombie invasion that breaks out from a military complex 2 miles down the road, and they've got to stick it out in this little petting zoo area with a bunch of kindergarten kids. Fun, light horror movie. Could have done with a bit more zombie stuff, but it's worth checking out for sure.
How awful.
Yeah, aside from that, just a bunch of Italian shit. A bunch of stuff everybody's heard of.
When I hear Little Monsters, I think of the 1989 film starring Howie Mandel and Fred Savage, and I'm sure many of our listeners would agree.
Exactly. Not that one.
Well, that does it for that segment. When we come back, we're going to rank our top 5 least problematic films.
That's a tough one. I came up with 2.
Same with I think Britney Spears got that
gerbil drowned in the cum.
Yeah, which
Oh,
also...
Britney Spears had a gerbil drown in cum in her.
Well, I think Britney Spears had the rumor of the stomach pumping.
Oh.
Richard Gere had the rodent in the butthole. Let us remember Richard Gere. You know what? The sad thing is that 70% of Americans would have a better life if they lived in Richard Gere's anus cavity than they currently have.
That's true.
Because he's a very wealthy Buddhist.
We don't say too many true things on this podcast, but I'm glad that sometimes
Yeah.
it leaks through.
What was your guys' favorite anus cavity movies?
So that's a tough one for me to actually
All right, we're recording.
get down.
Go ahead.
What's your guys' favorite body cavity? And what was your favorite movie that explored a body cavity?
So I watched 19 flapping butthole movies this year, and I'm going to give you a brief rundown on all of them. Butt Flappers 13, the reflappening.
That's a good one.
It's kind of it's a bit unusual to come back on a franchise and
Yeah.
go in this deep and have that be your number one pick, but
Well,
they did something really refreshing.
it
They
was-
brought bidets into the picture. I like that. I know Luke liked that.
They didn't start taking choreography seriously
nice touch.
until the 13th entry. And that's when I start getting interested, when they start getting like professional choreographers in there to do the anus flapping.
Butt flap flapjack. That was another one of these food porn movies that I really like, where they just spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I appreciated
Was
that.
Jon Favreau in that one too?
Jon Favreau executive produced it, so he had his cameo. He always loves to do that.
With his
but-
butt?
With his butt, yeah.
Okay.
I feel
Not
like
as tight and high as it used to be.
No, he's got like the station butt from Bill and Ted's Bogus
Yeah.
Journey. It kind of goes all the way up his back.
Yeah,
Well-
exactly. It's hard to tell where like his shoulder blades, when you like pinch your shoulder blades back, where that ends and his butt begins. But
he's a Hollywood guy. He's got back boobs. He's got all kinds of weird anatomy happening here.
so now butt flaps 1. You got to pay respect to
Yeah. This is like Canadians, we can respect this because we like pancakes and we like flapjacks. We enjoy these kind of butt flaps and things.
There's this new show coming out. I've seen trailers for it on Stack TV. It's about a maple syrup baron. Or
Yeah.
baroness, I guess.
Baroness.
Yeah.
Oh, sexy.
It's a dangerous,
gets-
gritty business.
I know maple syrup is pretty sticky stuff. Did she ever get like stuck in the maple syrup with like her butt up in the air and have to like ask somebody in her family to
The end of episode 1,
release her.
she's been totally entombed
Give her a release.
in a vat of maple syrup. Is she going to get out? I don't know. You got to stay tuned for episode 2.
That's what I always was disappointed
Baroness
by.
DNA. We
Yeah.
found them entombed in this maple syrup, see?
Well, that's just it. The rest of the world has amber. Like, you preserve the mosquito and the amber, and then you can recreate a dinosaur. But in Canada, we have maple syrup.
Yeah, that's how we preserve our sexy
Yeah.
baronesses.
I think you'll find it is a far better preserve than amber if you choose to try it.
Yeah, that's not a bit. That's
No.
true.
Can we get real for a minute?
Yeah. We're Canadians here.
If you're going to entomb yourself in syrup, you got to find a spotter.
We're not just the 51st
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
We all look out for each other on the podcast, and we want you to all look out for
Yeah.
each other out in the real world.
Imagine entombing yourself in something so sweet.
We've talked about a lot of movies that we loved that we all watched this year. We've gone through the whole gamut. We're going to change gears a little bit and talk about movies that we're looking forward to next year, or maybe just movies that we haven't gone around to this year that we're excited about. In a little feature, a little segment we like to call Things to Look Forward to.
Aren't we looking forward to
Yeah.
the future?
There's not much.
It's so bright.
There's not much, ladies and gentlemen
It's
at
not
home.
bleak at all.
You could blow up at any minute. In fact, I believe if you check the atomic scientist bulletin of the nuclear Armageddon clock, you'll find that you're far closer to Armageddon than you have been at any time since the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Crisis.
Crisis in the 1960s.
Crisis, old ladies.
You could blow up and die at a second's notice. Yeah, the world's falling apart. Everybody is crazy. What do we have to look forward to?
I don't know about you freaks, but in the immediate future, this Christmas season, I'm looking forward to going and seeing A Complete Unknown, the
Oh.
new Bob Dylan biopic starring my future husband, Timothy Chalamet.
Maybe he'll be at the screening. Maybe that's your meet cute.
Yeah. Christmas Day, Nosferatu opens, and I can't wait.
He hasn't missed yet.
Robert Eggers. My expectations are actually low. And my expectations are low for the Bob Dylan movie, too. I feel like a conventional biopic about Bob Dylan is the last and worst thing that enigmatic man's career deserves.
I wasn't too pumped about it.
I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not super stoked for it. Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm not super jazzed about it.
I'm stoked. I hope it's a hit so that more people just get turned on to his music.
Yeah, I think so, too. I'm not too worried about it, though. I think a lot of people like Bob Dylan. He's not a complete unknown.
Well, I hope Gen Z knows him a little better. Come in and know me better, man. As the Ghost of Christmas Present would say.
Trying to be a better man.
Eddie Vedder. That's what Eddie Vedder would say. What does the Ghost of Christmas Present have to say to that?
Trying to be a
Tell
better
me,
man.
Spirit, who's this wretched man whose death has brought so much joy to so many?
Jeremy spoken. Claire's today.
Oh, hey, you know else I'm looking forward to is David Cronenberg's new movie, and Paul Schrader's new movie is already out. It premiered at TIFF. Oh, Canada, it's called. I think it's set in Canada and stars Jacob Elordi.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Wow. Hunk.
He's on a bit of a heater. I didn't care that much for the card counter, but it was good enough. First Reformed was an amazing picture, and I really liked Master Gardener. So he's still got some interesting stories in the can for sure.
Phosphorescent does the music for Oh, Canada.
Interesting.
Who I very much like.
Mitch, you got anything you're looking forward to?
Some things I'm looking forward to are mainly a couple of Japanese movies. One of them is Kubi by Takeshi Kitano. It got its release during the Cannes Film Festival in 2023 and then just kind of vanished. There's no sight or sound of a Western release with like a translation or anything.
Don't you fucking hate that?
Yeah.
Where's our invitations to Cannes?
Yeah, what the heck? You would at least think that there would be, like, this is the thing that just, like, vanished off the map. Like, you can't even pirate a copy of this or whatever.
Well, we keep
Not
this
that I would
up,
ever.
and then next year we'll be on the red carpet next to Lea Seydoux.
That's right.
I'll be wearing my Stanley Kubrick shirt and asking, what's your favorite Stanley? As you can see,
Excuse me, Denzel Washington.
I'm a Stanley Kubrick fan. What's your favorite Stanley Kubrick movie?
While you're doing that, I will expose my genitals. Expose.
I couldn't imagine what a fool I would act like in Lea Seydoux's company.
I would talk to Lea Seydoux about David Cronenberg.
For sure.
Kind of mine on her experiences with that and Wes Anderson. She's worked with a bunch of directors that I really like.
Here's what I picture. I
would
sneak
ask
in.
her about what she thinks about things.
I would ask her none of the above. I would sneak into the Oscars. I would hang out by the craft service table.
Lea Seydoux, what do you think about things?
Lea Seydoux, she comes over. I tell her,
Swing and a miss.
I tell her, yeah, you say that, and then she like ignores you. She turns her back on you, and then I'm like, hey, what do you think of these crumpets? These are tasty at this craft service table, and she's like, yeah, these are really good, and I'm like, yeah, we bond over this. And we're both we go into a side room. We both love the crumpets. We've got crumpets. We brought them with us. And I'm like, these are so good. I'm so glad we left Luke with his dumb question in the other room. What was it about how great the movie is or whatever? It was dumb. Let's eat our crumpets here in our side room. Then we start kissing. And she said, I'm so glad Luke's not here.
That's exactly how it would go down. I'm going to go kill myself.
I can't believe you missed your shot. All you had to do is talk about crumpets and corner her in her room.
Yeah, I mean,
All you had to do was
girls love
be
that.
a large man cornering her in a room.
Feel like, are you scared right now or what? Oh, yeah? Well, I'm pretty scary. You should be. Okay, goodbye. And then I leave the Oscars, and everyone's like, do you remember that weird guy who was really big?
Yeah, and they trace your phone or they trace you all the way back to Central Park using surveillance footage.
And they're like, he was just a strange homeless man. He lives in Central Park.
They'd find you in a, I don't know,
Altoona,
in a McDonald's in
Pennsylvania.
Winnemucca or something. Just some
I didn't. All I did was make people uncomfortable. I didn't do anything illegal.
Free Luigi.
What was that you wrote on the crumpets?
And that's why we love 2024.
Defecate, depose.
Yeah.
Vonn, what are you looking forward to?
I've got a stack of movies I'm looking forward to. 3. Nosferatu, we talked about. Looking forward to it. Mickey 17, Bong Joon-ho, has got a new movie coming down the pipes. I'm looking forward to that.
Who's in that? Has he got Chris Evans tapped?
I don't think it's Chris Evans again.
He loves doing
Oh,
South
Robert
Korean.
Pattinson.
Oh, right. Yeah. I knew it was some.
Stephen Yeun, Mark Ruffalo,
Nice.
Naomi Ackel, Toni Collette. So I think that'll be good. Bong Joon-ho, I like his movies.
Always worth tuning in for. I love Bong Joon-ho.
Totally.
Yeah.
So there's that one. Oh, probably number 1 on my list. Honestly, there's a new Wallace and Gromit movie coming out early in the new year. I've watched Curse of the Were-Rabbit for the first time this year a few times.
Yeah, I watched that this October too on your recommendation.
I loved it.
I wish my boy liked it more than he did, but he liked it fine. But
Yeah.
I was like, this is
Wasn't-
fucking funny.
Both my kids were really vibing with it, and I was just super. I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll throw on Wallace and Gromit. And that was a show that I grew up watching. I loved Wallace Gromit as a kid. Chicken Run, I really loved when that came out. He did another movie, Pirates.
Does that have Mel Gibson?
That one had Mel Gibson.
What?
Chicken Run 2 just came out last year.
Make a chicken smoke. Make me want to eat a pie. Oh, those movies are fun, so I'm looking forward to that. So when I was looking through what movies are coming down the pipe, that was a very pleasant surprise. So I'm definitely going to have to show that one to the family. New, maybe final Mission Impossible movie. Final Reckoning, it's called. I am super looking forward
I'll
to that.
be there in the theater for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I got. So looking forward to it.
That's about it for our special New Year's episode. Would anybody like to lead us out on a prayer?
You're all a bunch of godless heathens. You need prayer. May the Lord look on all over upon those feeble of mind, especially of the podcast. May those Thomason tune up thine shift. Clean my
Father.
breeches.
I wash thy breeches, Father.
Caleb, bring me mine axe. Bring me my prayer axe. We are wretched. We are poor folk. Dumb, soulless, witless.
I am sinful.
Tell me your sins.
No denying it. I am sinful.
You are a merciful God. We thank you for only taking 3 of our brothers, 3 of our podcast hosts.
May we make it through another year with only losing 3 podcast hosts. We know many podcasts have lost more.
I coveted Mother's silver baubles. I'll admit it. I coveted Mother's silver baubles.
If we lose maybe one more podcast host, that wouldn't be the worst thing.
And I'm
Yes.
ashamed.
Maybe
And
we
I
could
think
pursue
that's
this
like-
being a 2-man venture.
That's the most proud behavior is shame. So I am the most ashamed out of all the high and low podcast hosts.
We know that our houses are crumbling, but we also know that those around us, their houses crumble more. We thank you for your mercy in leaving 3 walls standing when many of our neighbors have 2 or 1.
Greedy. I feel
Are we not
sinful.
too greedy asking for 3 walls, Father?
3 walls and most of a roof is enough for this podcast.
What about these mice eating my socks?
The mice come from the dungeon. The dungeon puts food on this table.
Ah, yes, indeed. I forgot about the dungeon.
You are so
And all of the
ungrateful.
poor souls that we keep under there.
May we have fewer goat borings next year. And
Should all acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should all acquaintance be forgot in the days of Podlang Sign?
Lakeside, my pond,
My dear-
pond, oh pond,
pod lang syne. We'll drink a pot of podness yet. And pod lang syne.
Wow.
Thank you all very much for listening to High and Low.
It's been a banner year. We'll see you all in 2025.
Fuck off.
If
Low
this
lives.
is if this is something
Fuck you!
fuck you, low lives. If this has been something you enjoyed, why don't you tell a friend? You've got a friend, don't you?
Line them
Maybe
all up.
one, maybe two.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a whole
gonna-
gang of friends.
Just imagine spreading like the Ebola virus. That's our goal on the High and Low podcast.
Except I want it to spread like a virus that has no cure.
Oh,
I want to spread infinitely.
what's a good Christmas virus?
Ebola.
Ebola. Yeah.
It's got the Christmas colors.
So yes, like, share, and subscribe.
Check us out on socials. This has been High and Low Movie Show. I'm Vaughn.
I'm Luke. I'm Luke.
I'm Vaughn.
I'm Mitchell.
Smell you later.
Bye.
That'll all work out.
Oh, it'd be great.